No.
Hey, Mark, when you died, you said you saw
Peter.
nothing but blackness. How did you know you saw blackness only?
What are you talking about?
You told me you died on the operating table and you said you saw nothing but blackness.
No, I didn't. What are you talking about?
I thought we were going to talk about
You
Polaris
were the one, and
forces.
then Mark Reed, you were the one. I was talking
I
to
have
you.
no idea what Jason is talking
You've
about.
never
right now.
ever died on the operating table.
No, I don't know. What are you talking? I've never claimed that ever.
Mark Reed, you never claimed that.
Jason,
You
here's a tiny clue. If you died, unless you are Jesus, you wouldn't be here.
Look, Jason, either like I don't know what I've never claimed that ever in my life. If you can find a clip of me claiming that, great.
I'm going to have to contact. I think it was on Standing for Truth's channel one time when he had an open channel, and we were talking about this, or it was on John Maddox's channel. I asked you about this, and you said that you died once on the operating table, so you never died.
What are you talking about?
It must be someone else. Well,
Jason,
got it wrong. Listen to these idiots.
Jason, you shouldn't be drinking when you're watching YouTube. You shouldn't be drinking.
Okay. So I've never been on a Standing for Truth show apart from debating on his channel, right? So I don't think I've ever been on an after show or anything like
John's channel afterwards.
I've been on John's channel, but
I said about my friend that died. He died. My friend, he died.
Jason, if you're either going to let me talk or you're just going to yell incoherently, what are you going to do?
My friend died from a massive heroin overdose in a bath. He died.
Yeah, well, I'm really sorry about that.
I died on the operating table and I saw nothing but blackness.
I never did. Look, there are people that have reported. Okay, Jason, if you're not going to let me speak,
sorry.
Seriously, mate, just let me speak. I have said people have reported seeing nothing after dying. I've never claimed that myself, that I've died on the operating table.
Doug saw nothing as well when he died. Pitch black darkness, liquid darkness, just pitch black. How do they know they saw nothing? So they saw nothing when they died. How do they know they saw nothing when they died?
I don't know. I've never claimed to see it myself.
Okay, all right, okay. I thought
you are out of your mind. I don't know what's wrong with you. Go and
I'm not out of my mind, mate. I just agreed with you that I was wrong. I just agreed with you, and I'm out of my mind.
Mark. It's okay.
I just agree.
It's just weird to be attacked for saying something that I have never.
You shouldn't bear false witness on a Christian channel.
Well. Good morning, my beauties and bees. It is good to see everybody. It is Saturday, October 28th here in the U.S. in Central Time Zone. It is 9:42 a.m. and we got a big Halloween show ahead. I don't think any of our topics are specifically Halloween, but it's that there's going to be interlaced stuff about Halloween, including that little time that Mark Reed died. Who can forget Mark Reed on the operating table? We all waited with bated breath as the flat line went across the monitor. And then, unlike other people's saviors, Mark got back up like immediately. He's only down for a minute. Jesus took like 3 whole days. Mark Reed just bounced right back up. That's how he rolls. So just keep that in mind if you want to start swapping savior stories. But yeah, no, Mark was never died on the operating table, at least not yet. Knock on wood that it never happens. There's a superstition for you. That talk all kinds of superstitions, but knock on wood about the Mark's health, because we need him. We need him on our team. All right. Let me say hello and good morning to everybody who's popping in now. We got John Hudson. We've got Greg Hartwick, Deep Arcs. We've got Sasquatch Secrets. Stephanie Helms, Look at the Trees. AR. Yeah, let's see here. You guys have got good conversations going before the show even got off the ground. Great. We got Purple. I already said look at the trees. Tux has popped in. Good to see you, Tux. There's lots of great folks. Will Freeman's here. And let's see, we got... Dr. Mordecai's in the house. Sumami's showed up. All right. Well, good to see everybody. I'm glad that people are showing up and we're here to hang out and have a good time. Usually the show starts with Cryptic Corner, but today is a special day. Today is October 28th. It's an important day in the skeptic community because it's the day that they hand out the golden crocoduck. Who's they? They is Potholer 54. And what is the golden crocoduck? Well, I'll let them explain. Let's pop right into that. And we're going to do that with this screen right here. Nope, not that one. Well, maybe we can use that one. Yeah, that's fine. Those are my AI slides, by the way. Fun stuff. We're going to go with... we're going to go with this one. Just a moment. We'll get it pulled up. All right. So Potholer 54 is this guy, this channel. Pretty big channel. 233K. They do this annually. They also do some great skeptic content on things like, well, let me pop into their channel real quick. They're a huge channel. Huge influence on me, too. Lots of cosmology stuff. Dinosaur stuff. Geology of a battlefield, how rocks changed history. It's not all young Earth creationist stuff, and sometimes they're just dunking on just chud logic in general. Like, got Trump and Tucker Carlson there. Got some denial of climate change stuff that he breaks down. Good stuff, and they've become more active here in the last few months. So I'm glad to see it. The short chronology of a failed ice age prediction thing, things like that. All the hoaxes and debunked nonsense in science is tackled here. But so if you're not subscribed, he's a journalist, I believe. The purpose of this channel is to explain in simple terms the conclusions of scientific research and correct some of the unsourced crap we hear from bloggers, politicians, and media. I am a former science journalist. See the Who I Am video, and with a degree in geology. Yep. So what we're going to do is, I'm not going to watch the full 18 minutes. I'm going to watch the first few minutes until the announcement and then let you guys go over there to finish watching it. But without further ado, let's see who the winner is. I'm going to break down who the nominees are and then see who the winner is.
Welcome to the 6th annual Golden Crocoduck Awards.
Featuring our 6 Golden Crocoduck nominees, St. Jude Thaddeus, and a special message from Kyle. So we come to the 2013 Golden Crocoduck Award ceremony.
Let me know how the audio is,
guys.
guys.
Nice to see you all wearing your best tuxedos and party frocks. The reason we host the event on October 28th is because this is the feast day of St. Jude Thaddeus, the patron saint of lost causes.
That's St. Thaddeus, patron saint of lost causes.
The Golden Crocoduck is awarded every year, after a short hiatus, for the biggest breach of the 9th commandment in pursuit of the creationist cause. So,
Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbors. And I'm going to stop like every few seconds because I definitely don't want to make Potholer feel like I'm plagiarizing. I'm just making announcing this great news, and hopefully send him some people his way. I know I got a tiny channel, but
who will be this year's winner? Well, let's start with Kat Kerr, the crazy stick lady, and her hostage.
Of course.
I will not tolerate.
I will not tolerate
Destruction from Laura.
Destruction from Laura.
Unfortunately, being batshit crazy isn't the criterion for the...
We share the same hair color, though, me and Kat. Most of the time. Sometimes I go back to brunette. But most of the time I have some shade of pink on my head.
Award, so Kat Kerr is disqualified on the grounds of diminished responsibility. What about Kyle, who thinks evolution is
crazy?
Because it's
Kyle.
Crazy.
Well, this is an interesting one because Kyle.
I remember when Kyle came out with that video, everybody and their grandma responded, including our grandma, Godless Granny. So if you didn't see her response to Kyle, you should check that out when you got some free time as well. But moving on.
Kyle has tried to get out of his nomination by claiming the whole thing was a joke.
It was surreal, it was ironic, and it was an inside joke.
Unfortunately, Kyle seems to be the only one who was in on it. But just so that everyone understands that it was a joke, and Kyle was only pretending to be a religious nutcase railing against science.
It was just a joke, bro. It's a prank, bro. That's the way he went with it. Oh, Kyle, we'll see some clips of him, but yeah, you can go check it. He's got a YouTube channel and stuff where he comes at evolution. They're not good, not great, not the best apologetics. They're like, this is obviously Kyle is some kind of youth pastor or something, and he's rehearsed this with convincing like young kids or young impressionable boys to give them a false sense of security in their beliefs.
I'll play parts of his nomination joke video and then his very sensible and normal reply video so you can see the difference.
Again, we've never seen this, just like we haven't seen monkey into man. We haven't seen the eye develop. We haven't seen DNA come to be in a primordial.
For real, this is the standard apologetics, right? We're all familiar with. We've all broken down the development of the eye, monkey to man. Even though I argue that we're still monkeys, so there's no two.
Real soup. Free-thinking, rational person believes in the flood unless you're a history denier. All the cultures report the flood, and the atheists will be like, look it, every culture reports a flood, therefore Christianity copied it. Or maybe it actually happened. Make any sense?
I don't disagree that there's global memories of tumultuous, catastrophic events that we can't even imagine in our time. There were within the oral tradition, and to an extent genetic memory for humanity can go back a couple 100,000 years. Volcanic eruptions, floods of proportions that we've never even experienced at all, tidal waves that humanity hasn't witnessed in modern times. Things, traps opening up, volcanic traps, and eruptions, that block out the sky for days on end around the world. These were things that our ancestors would have had memories of, or documented or passed down through oral tradition. These ideas of catastrophes that happened long ago and far away. And then sometimes, not so far away. Sometimes it'll explain local geography and stuff, and they'll say, "Oh, this is where." And some of it's more credible than other. They say the Devil's Tower, that the marks on it were made by a giant bear named Matteau, sharpening his claws. That was just a little piece of information that I picked up recently. Yeah.
You could have just read this. The Bible, it brings you truth. Jesus is the truth. Jesus is salvation.
So, as you can see, Kyle's perfectly...
Again, to reiterate, we have Mark who pops right back up and doesn't even... it's like, what are you talking about? And someone says he died. Whereas Jesus took a whole 3 days to resuscitate. Wolverine doesn't even take that long. Come on now. Wolverine doesn't heal as fast as Mark, but he heals faster than Jesus.
Normal, and one of those videos was a joke. I forget which one. Kennedy Hall was a serious contender. His breach was his false premise that you needed star fusion to make the first elements. Matt Powell had a similar stab at debunking the Big Bang by claiming that singularity was full of particles which exploded. And a lot of people thought Michael Behe ought to win because he's been...
Michael Behe has been a contender for years. Yeah. Give Mikey his shot.
Pushing the same false claim about a mousetrap for decades. And
it's irreducibly complex, you guys. How do you explain the flagella? You can't have a half a flagella, because then what is it? It's just a flage. What are you going to do with a flage? How are you even going to move your cell around with just a flage?
Finally, James Tour, who claims he knows living tissue can't survive inside dinosaur bones for 70 million years, based on the fact that it only survives a short time in water. I forget how long.
A few days.
Oh, right.
Or a week.
Okay, Jim, don't labour the point. But I can tell you now that...
So, his big contribution this year, in my opinion, was the Dave Farina, James Tour debate. And now that I've had time to digest that a bit, I'm a little more apprehensive about the whole thing. But from both positions, you know, there's a certain standard of formality that I didn't even consider in a debate format until I talked about this privately with some people. So some of the behavior on both sides, I can't stand behind. So just putting that out there.
That James Tour didn't win, even though I have to agree he's pretty clueless. In lieu of the award, I made him go away and do lines, admitting to his deficiency. Kennedy Hall hasn't won either.
At least they got that clip out of it for this, though. That's good. At least they got that.
Tempting as that was, and sadly, Behe had to be ruled out when he was hospitalized after a creationist experiment gone horribly wrong. In the end, the judges decided to award the prize to...
All right, so can we do? We can't do 6. But we know that they've already taken Kyle and Kat out. So I think, can we do 4 on a poll? I want my Hive to vote. Okay, so let's see here. So we have, did they rule Behe out too? Let's see. So we got Tour and who's the dude up on the right? I don't remember what they said his name was. Beard guy. We're not going to put him on the list because we know he doesn't win. He's a chud. All right, so we got Tour and Powell. And Kyle tapped out. So just the two. These two. Because I know this bearded guy doesn't win, but I have a lot to say about. You all know I have a lot to say about both Tour and Powell. So let's get it. All right. Maybe I should do like a musical interlude. I don't know. My nose is itchy. What do I got for an interlude? Do I have Titanochores? What's that doing in here? Let's see what that looks like. Let's look at Titanochores while you guys vote. Is there anything in there? All right, come on, guys. Got 100% for Powell. Just 3 votes. 75 for Powell. 100%. 80 for Powell. 20 for Tour. All right, I want at least 10 votes before we move on. There's 20 people watching. I imagine some of you all probably subscribed to Potholer already and watched this morning when it came out. I don't know. Potholer is one of the channels where I'm like, new Potholer just dropped, and I have to go watch it. There's a few people like that. I'm like that with Chad too. So it's a variety of people. All right. Good morning, Tubian. Hit those votes. I got 6 votes. I need 4 more. If you haven't voted yet, just vote. It doesn't matter if you're sure about it or not. I want to get the poll ended. I need at least half of you guys to vote. So 7. We got 7 votes. Powell is in the lead, 71-29. If you think Tour is the golden crocodile contender, let us know. Drop those votes. Who hasn't voted yet? Come on. Don't make me shame you. We got 9 votes. We need 1 more. Ooh, are you kidding me? We got, 10 votes, 11 votes to break the tie because it was tied at 10 votes. We got 11 votes to break the tie. I am here for it. We're going to end the poll right there with, wow. Coming up from behind, we had James Tour with 54% of the votes. Where did that come from? Powell was leading the way the whole time. Good. Awesome. Let me switch this to live chat. I don't know why it's on top chat. I hate top chat. I don't ever want top chat. Stop making me switch it every time that I start a new stream. Every time I start watching a new live stream. I don't want to be in top chat. I want to be in live chat. If other people want top chat, they can select that. I want to see who my friends are in the chat. I want to see who the trolls are in the chat, all in order and how they're responding. Stop with giving me the freaking top chat. Nobody likes that. All right, let's go and see.
One candidate for the sheer volume of brazen bullshit he's produced. So congratulations, Matt Powell.
Woo!
Come and get your award, Matt. Oh, God, it's drunk again. Now we have to take a peek at the body of work that made him such a deserving winner of the award.
We're going to give him a little bit of time on the surf monkeys, and then we got to move on because we got Cryptic Corner, and it's 10 o'clock, and that's when I planned to start Cryptic Corner this morning because I was doing this. So let's give Matt just a chance to make his his surf monkey argument again.
So get ready, folks, for some more golden crocodilia, and wake up.
People always ask me, how do you get people to doubt evolution, Matt?
How do you get people to doubt evolution, Matt? Please tell us the secret.
3-word Google search. When monkeys surf.
Wow, it really is that simple. Well, let's do it. I googled when monkeys surfed and came up with several media stories. Only one of them, in National Geographic, mentioned surfing monkeys in a headline, but then explained in the article that monkeys might have migrated to South America.
That's Matt's biggest issue. He doesn't understand hyperbole. Like, if you say monkeys surfed, he's thinking literally like they had surfboards. Like they crafted surfboards and stood on them and rode and swam out and caught big waves that took them to the New World. That is literally, Matt can't understand like a metaphor, you know. It's kind of like surfing, you know, that they get on there and go a long distance or whatever. Anyway, you all know I've harped on this for video after video.
America by unwittingly crossing the ocean on floating vegetation during the Eocene about 35 million years ago. Okay, so
evolution literally teaches that monkeys rafted, according to this article, 900 miles on debris.
Well, it's certainly a hypothesis, and the problem with this hypothesis is...
What'd they do for food?
Well, some of these rafts of vegetation are dozens of meters long.
It would have literally just been a matter of days that they were on that raft. So, yeah.
And the journey would only have taken about 10 days.
Yeah,
there would have been things like leaves, fruits, insects, mollusks, and small reptiles.
And the ancestor of South American monkeys, of the Platyrrhines, was very primitive in comparison to both lineages of monkeys today, and it was thought to have been primitive enough that it may have retained some of its more primitive abilities of eucontoglires to go into a torpor state. That's where you can kind of like curl up and, you know, grab onto the branch, curl up, and ride the storm out. And just they go into, their heartbeat slows down, their brain shuts down. It goes into a dream state or whatever, a hypnopompic state where they're still holding on. Yeah, there's monkeys that can do that. They can enter that state, and they don't eat, they don't move. They just go into energy reserve mode.
On the rafts, small mammals can easily survive that long on a sparse diet.
What do they drink? They're freshwater animals.
Rainwater. Anything else? Oh, well, that wiped the smile off Matt.
Well, there's a lot of monkeys that get most of their hydration from the vegetation and fruit that they eat. Though they don't necessarily have to drink a lot. And if they're on a vegetation mat and it rains, it's raining fresh water, at least semi-fresh water. And just wake up from their torpor and look up and open their mouths.
Matt's face. He's just figured out that because these rafts are huge agglomerations of vegetation, there's no reason at all why monkeys can't be carried on them. That's how a lot of small animals travel from one place to another, even today. We can see these rafts in oceans, resulting from storms that uproot trees and bushes and send them down rivers. All
right. Well, I'm going to end this part right there. Matt Powell was our champion. Actually, let me go for just a couple more minutes.
Monkeys have been spotted on vegetation rafts in Colombia. Now that he's got no arguments against the science, Matt has to resort to doing what creationists always do: make up something silly and claim that's what scientists believe. It's called a straw man. You can almost hear his brain working as he tries to invent something silly enough to debunk.
Look, you have a monkey stranded on a log, a stump. One of them literally said he rafted on a little piece of bark.
I'm a member.
I doubt anybody's ever said that it was a little piece of bark. I don't think that that's true.
Of Pathological Liars Anonymous. In fact, I'm the president of that organization.
People say, Matt, how do we know you're not strawmanning them? I literally had somebody ask me this. It's so far-fetched to think that they actually believe in surfing monkeys, Matt.
Well, yeah, because you don't understand that surfing is being used hyperbolically. Because you don't understand hyperbole, which is all right. That's okay. We're all human, right? But yeah, so go watch that. That was Potholer 54's the Golden Crocoduck Award ceremony and winner announcement. So if you aren't subscribed to Potholer, you're missing out, because there's some great science content over there, and also debunking stuff like this. It's quintessential. Yeah, so I saw somebody say that before in the side chat. But without further ado, in light of my preamble, we are going to move right along into Cryptic Corner. So thank you for sticking with me so far for the Golden Crocoduck Awards announcement. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we'll see you next time. All right, because I'm gonna cut that as a short video too, because it went on longer than I thought, but it was a good one. Stick around, Hive, because we are just getting started. This is the top of the show. This is technically the very first segment coming up, because that wasn't a real segment. So we got Cryptic Corner right around the corner. And it's going to be a fun one. So I will see you over there. Hello and good evening, my beauties and bees, and welcome to Cryptic Corner, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. I am your host, Miss Bumblebee, and I am so happy to see everybody popping in here on Live from the Hive. If you want to be part of this show when we do this live, be sure to tune in tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. Central Standard Time for Live from the Hive. We do it every Saturday. So thank you for popping in to hang out with Cryptic Corner tonight. And I want to just jump right into the topic because this has been another one that's been on the back burner for a long time because you don't know how to approach it. It's very comparable to like the Jersey Shore shark attacks. There is some cryptic elements to it, but it's not truly a cryptid, but there's mystery behind what we're talking about today. And you'll understand what I mean in just a minute. So let's pop right into the video. I'm going someplace kind of nifty today. This is from 4 months ago from a guy named Stingray Tom's Florida. He tells lore and folklore about Florida and also lays out some information about some of the animals there on occasion. And today is no different. He's talking about Florida alligators, but not Florida alligators in Florida this time, but Florida alligators in New York City. When I'm not just going to focus on Florida alligators from Florida in New York City, just alligators out of their proper homes are sort of a common theme, and it still happens today. There's a lake in Illinois where someone caught an alligator. People release them into these ponds and stuff, but we're going to get into that too. But I'm going to let Florida Tom kind of break down the folklore behind it because I like the way he talks about it. Now he does an intro. The whole video is he does like his channel. You know, he says his thing, but he
about Florida's gators and
he has a long intro thing where he does his channel stuff. So I'm going to pop ahead just a couple minutes into it, and we're going to get right into. I shouldn't have let that play so long, but there we go. We'll go back to here.
Related ones such as the Bermuda Triangle and the skunk ape. Still, I want to talk about Florida's gators in New York City, since they've been found there many times over the past 100 years. Are there gators living in the sewers of New York? Are they able to survive, and are they breeding? Let's take a look at the available evidence.
All right, so he's getting ready to drop some lore on us, but I did want to answer some quick questions from the side chat. I see somebody saying, "Oh Lord, yeah, sewer gators." Sewer gators I love them. I love sewer gators. I have a thumbnail ready for this one too. That looks so cool. I've been making all kinds of thumbnails by using cartoonized versions of my face over AI artwork. It looks really good. It looks like I think it's professional paintings and stuff of me. But anyway, I saw someone ask if I was ever going to do sheep squatch. You bet your ass I'm going to do sheep squatch. It's gonna be maybe soon too. I don't know. There's a few of these weird country road hominid creatures that are a little bit bizarre. There's the goat man, who's like a Sasquatch with goat horns, and there's another goat man. It doesn't have horns. It looks like a goat. And then there's ones with axes that jump on the hood of your car. All kinds of stuff. So a lot of variety, but we'll get into that one of these days. There's a lot to cover. That's why Cryptic Corner is going to last forever. And as long as you guys keep coming back for it, I'm going to keep doing this show. This is my favorite show to do. This is my favorite segment. That's why it's first. There is going to be some reshuffling though around the shows, but we'll talk about that more towards the end because, yeah, I got some exciting news and some fun stuff to think about too. All right, let's get back to New York sewer gators and see if they can't. Yes, the Ninja Turtles are in the sewers in New York. Yeah, but turtles have the ability to survive at that latitude, right? They can enter that torpor state like we were talking about with the monkeys. You can sometimes, like when you walk out on the ice on a lake, you can see turtles under the water. at least you can't here in Illinois when it freezes over. You can go see the turtles under the water. You see frogs too. Gators can't quite survive like that, but they can stick their noses up. But we'll get into that in just a bit.
Alligators remain a big draw for tourists in Florida. Beyond the alligator farms, every zoo and aquarium displays alligators. Many miniature golf places have gators you can feed and maybe even hold. There are airboat and pontoon boat tours where you're guaranteed to see gators, as well as boardwalks in many parks that provide a glimpse of the alligator's Cretaceous world. Alligators' crocodilian cousins have actually been...
I got a question. They used to Cretaceous there, so... I guess alligators as a... No, you know what? I'm okay with it. Gatoroid, yeah. Gatoroidia, definitely. You know what? You're good there, Florida Tom. Cretaceous is a good time. It's the heyday of alligators in Cayman. Yeah, when they were the biggest and most powerful, and they lived all across from North America. And it was lower down on the map, so it was more closer towards the equator, like Beringia, where Alaska and Russia meets, was like way down, more close to like a climate like Northern California, right? And gators lived from Florida to China, and then that split up, and then Chinese alligators got isolated from American alligators. And those are the two clades of alligators, right, that are currently still in existence: the Chinese alligator and the American alligator. And they live on like opposite corners of the earth, which seems really weird, but it's not if you think about this giant continent with Beringia linking northern Asia and North America. And then you have the Indian subcontinent. It's a totally different story. And that's where you get into this north and south thing. So you get this northern continent, which makes up Europe, Asia. Europe was already too cold for alligators this time because of the way that it was orientated. It was kind of like pointed up into the North Pole a little bit, with China being more down and Beringia being more pointed downward. Sorry, I'm interrupting this with a geography lesson. I wish I don't have the maps pulled up. I will pull up maps over here when I publish this. No worries. But alligators lived all along this area. Then when the continent shifted and separated them, they became two isolated pockets. And while in North America, in South America, because the Caymans lived down there, they did prosper quite a bit, right? There was they prosper up until modern times, up until the Anthropocene. But in Asia, they didn't flourish quite as well. They just Chinese alligators, and that may be because, when India and the Oceania got a little bit closer to in Africa, got a little bit closer to that Asian continent, it brought with it these their own crocodilians, the crocodiles. And alligators have a hard time competing with crocodiles in tropical climates because alligators are evolved to live in cooler, more seasonal climates, not necessarily winter and spring and summer and fall, but they have more of like a two-season kind of. I want to call it like the circadic rhythm, but it's not really. It's because it's seasonal, but they go into a sleepy state, and so that's their strong point that crocodiles don't have. So that's why they strive. They can be found in more northern climates. Crocodiles cannot. All right, enough rambling.
Been around that long, emerging 95 million years ago. They lived alongside tyrannosaurs.
And just, I'll cut this part out, but just because, then this is why you got to watch this on CryptoCorner too, because sometimes I don't know what's going to fall out of my mouth and I don't have images ready, but by the time I publish it, I do have images ready and we can put it up on the screen. So yeah, there's always updates and stuff to these when I publish them, so keep that in mind. Continuing on.
Hadrosaurs, pterosaurs, early birds, mosasaurs, and even sharks. Modern.
Well, I mean, you say even sharks. Sharks have been around since the. Did you know sharks are older than the North Star? Not just older than the star than Polaris has been the star that's north, but longer than Polaris has existed. Sharks came into existence, evolved, before Polaris evolved. Just keep that in mind. That's wild to me. Wild to think about. Sharks are ancient, so ancient.
Alligators emerged around 37 million years ago, and today the American alligator has the largest population of any apex predator in the world. Today there's 25,000.
Go Gators! Yeah, like Sumami was saying earlier, they were endangered for decades because of overhunting.
1,000 polar bears, 35,000 lions, 100,000 mako sharks, and 250,000 wolves in the world. But there's 3 million gators, with 1.3 million just in Florida. So we know that gators are both remarkably successful and
look at those mobile nostrils. I just want to take that in. Look, just people talk about how reptiles didn't have the proper facial muscles and stuff to do certain things because they can't, they don't have mobile lips. But their nostrils are freaking amazing. Look at that. This little patch right here with this softer skin. It's flexible and seals those suckers right up.
Have changed little in millions of years. Gators aren't just a popular attraction in the state today. Tourists have been spotting them since the 1820s. Travelers in the newly acquired territory would visit St. Augustine and take trips along the St. Johns. After the Civil War, tourism grew, and that's when the first alligator farms developed. The oldest one in operation is the St. Augustine Alligator Farm, which opened in 1893. Apart from functioning as zoos, gator farms, including the...
Hold on, I gotta appreciate old Riley over here for a minute. Not as bad as he looks. Pelican. Just appreciating that, and moving on.
Long gone Florida Alligator Farm in Jacksonville, as well as Gatorland.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine? Poor creature pulling a wagon with little kids on it. I'm not here for that. I just don't think this gator needs to be in that contraption. If he was like missing his back legs or something, maybe give him a little cart, but not to pull people's kids around on.
Located between Orlando and Kissimmee, also raise gators to sell for their skins, meat, and crucially for today's subject, for pets. There's limited evidence as to how widespread the trade in hatchling gators was in Florida or how many were sold, but we also don't know how many cases of oranges were sold and how many postcards were sent either. Gators were sold by farms, attractions, and roadside stands which hawked all manner of Sunshine State kitsch. For many years, there was a steady stream of gators moving north along the rapidly developing...
And you have to understand how, when you see an adult gator, it's normal people like you, not me, but normal people like you guys out there can say, that's kind of creepy looking. It's got big spiked teeth and it's all scaly with bony spikes sticking out and stuff. And they go, God, it's off-putting. To me, they're adorable, but... to almost everybody, a baby alligator is adorable. I think they have some videos of them here, and they're tiny. They're about the size of like your average gecko pet, gecko that people keep as pets.
Developing paved roads such as US 1 and the Dixie Highway. You can learn more about the latter in this video. By the 1930s, gators weren't only heading north in the back seats of Model Ts. They were being mailed northward because of magazine ads.
Let's read this one. How would you like a real live baby alligator for your very own? A rage for baby alligator pets has swept the country. We have arranged at great expense to supply you with a genuine live baby alligator just hatched to keep the deep marshlands of the South at an amazingly low price. These corking little pets will be shipped to you by mail, carefully packed, safe arrival guaranteed. Think of the fun, the thrill you will have with one of these baby alligators. I keep emphasizing babies, like, oh, they're babies. They're not, they'll never be adults. They're just babies. Baby alligators. Read how fascinating they are, how interesting. Study nature. Remember, the alligator comes down to us from prehistoric days, from the age of the dinosaurs. Do you want a baby alligator? You bet you do. What boy wouldn't? Price $1.50 postpaid. What boy? I'm a girl and I want an alligator. Stop it. Stop it with your 1960s sexism.
Later, kids could even win them for selling newspaper or magazine subscriptions.
I don't know if people are normies out there or not. I just assume most people are normies and don't love all creatures the way I do. I just assume. Yeah, you got people getting baby alligators in the mail and comic strips, and look at that. Jay Leno used to tell a story on his stand-up thing, or on his talk show, the Tonight Show, about getting a monkey from one of these mail order catalogs, like a marmoset. It's really sad. He said that it arrived, it was like hairless and tiny and screamed.
In this ad, the highlighted parts state false information about the growth of gators. They state that it takes nearly 200 years to reach full size. That's simply not true.
No, completely false.
First of all, gators can live into their 50s, with only a few thought to have lived to 70. While adult gators continue to grow long after they reach maturity, the speed of growth is greatly diminished. It's even been shown that they stop growing at 43 for males and 31 for females. It's not correct that they...
like the infinite growth theory about a lot of reptiles is starting to get debunked. There's a certain point where they've reached their maximum potential size for their body, and they just stop growing. That's just the truth of it. Snakes are the same way. They have a max.
Grow only a few inches in the first years. Gators can grow up to 8 inches or 20 centimeters a year.
I know. When I heard that about the mail order marmoset, I was like, oh, because he talks about his mom shoot it outside and never saw it again. So it died because it didn't survive in the wild here in North America. I don't know where Jay Leno's from, like New Jersey or something. It wouldn't have survived there.
And reach 4 foot or 1.2 meters by the time they're 5 or 6. By the age of 12, males have reached maturity and can be 9 foot or 2.5 meters long. The idea that gators are slow growing encouraged sales. If parents thought that in a few years, Junior's tiny hatchling would be even too big to fit in the tub, Junior might have had to settle for a book on pirates. It's this that would lead to the legend of subterranean alligators. No gators from Florida, no sewer gators. Considering that in 2023, people still dump unwanted pets at shelters or release them into the wild.
How could you dump that little guy? Oh. Well, you shouldn't have got him in the first place if you weren't prepared to take care of a adorable, happy alligator who just wants to live his best life and lay in the mud and prosper and eat things, eat turtles and stuff. That's all he wants. He's not evil. He doesn't deserve to be thrown into a sewer or a lake that's gonna freaking freeze over for 9 months out of the year. He doesn't deserve that. Look at that cute guy. All he wants to do is be in his lane, basking on a muddy bank, prospering. That's what he wants. So if you can't provide that to him, then don't own him. Everybody and anybody thinking about getting alligators or getting any kind of crocodilian, unless you are prepared to provide them with the space that they need.
Surprising that the Florida transplant gators would end up kicked out of the home. Ask anyone and they'll tell you that most were flushed down the toilet. Of course, that's an impossibility since anything other than the tiniest of hatchlings wouldn't fit.
Yeah, they'd have to be like fresh out of the egg. You'd have to like take them out of the egg and then flush them. They're about that long. About as long as a pencil. Thicker than a pencil though. Yeah, but not big. And they pretty soon they grow pretty quick. Through those first few months, they can triple in size. I mean, usually like a year-old alligator is probably about that long, probably about 1.5 feet long, and already capable of like taking down its own live prey, such as rodents. Even at that size, they potentially can eat chicks and small rabbits, things like that. And I've known people who've had alligators as pets that were not in the. I won't call anybody out for their behavior because I think they got busted and got fined and everything. But I've seen people with alligators in their basements, and they just roam the basement and have a little kiddie pool. So, which is not. They need more than that. They need mud. Alligators love mud and stuff like this. Like what you see this alligator on right here. The mud and the grass and the logs and the stump rotting stuff. They love it. They absolutely love it. They want to be where the decay is happening because it provides them heat even when the ambient temperature is low. Decaying matter can provide them with heat and they are evolved to take advantage of that, right? They lay their eggs, for instance, in big rotting piles of vegetation. It's all part of their ecology. They evolved to live in these. Again, how we talked about how crocodiles live south in the south portion, and then alligators can live all the way up to the Arctic conditions, because they take advantage of this ecological niche in bogs, marshes, in lowland areas of river valleys where there is a lot of wet, decaying plant material that produces heat and adds extra heat even during the cold months of the year. Provides that heat from the decay to keep them warm, and it helps them produce their offspring.
Instead, they were tossed in the trash, the river, or down storm drains. A critical event was recorded in the New York Times in February 1935. 3 East Harlem teens spied an alligator down a storm drain. They were able to lasso the poor beast and pull it out with clothesline. The young men killed the gator with...
Yeah, they say 8 foot here, but yeah, it's this was in winter too, because they were shoveling snow into the storm drain.
Their snow shovels. It was reported to be 8 foot long, 2.5 meters, but looking at the photo, it doesn't appear to be anywhere near that big. The article speculated
it probably couldn't move very well in that cold water. Or if they were shoveling snow. Prize weight of 125 pounds, and no one seems to know how it got in the sewer. Yeah, I would say that this one was probably a dumped pet. This is about the size that people decide they can't deal with an alligator anymore. They get about, this isn't 8 foot, but that's a 4.5, 5 foot alligator. Looks like it might have some snout damage though, so it could have been longer. I don't know if they damaged its snout with the snow shovels, but its face is the length of its head doesn't seem to be proportionate to the body here. Just an observation. I guess I got it kind of behind the. Hold on, let me fix that. Pull it out here so you guys can see him a little better. There you go. There's our little gator. There's our gator guy.
That it had escaped from a passing steamer on the Harlem River and had swum into a sewer outflow pipe. The event became the talk of the town in the midst of the Great Depression. 2 years later, Ira Fisk, a barge captain, pulled a 4.5 foot or 1.5 meter gator from the East River by yet again lassoing the animal. Only a week later,
Where are all these gator lassoing people these days? You don't hear about anybody in New York lassoing alligators anymore. New Yorkers used to be a different breed, right? Now they don't even lasso alligators. I mean, what's become of the city? Alligators just roaming in the East River and the Hudson, and nobody even cares. Nobody lassos them like they're supposed to. In the 30s, though. In the 30s, that's when you lassoed a gator.
Foot or 2/3 meter long gator was spotted crawling along a Brooklyn subway platform, shocking passengers after crawling out of a trash can.
That one's tiny.
Where it had been
that's definitely a dumped pet.
Dumped. The police grabbed the young gator and removed it since it didn't have a subway token.
These verifiable reports were dramatic, but didn't mention gators living in the city sewers. Indeed, the sewer connection appears to have been first advanced by Teddy May, a sewer foreman who reported
it's time for Teddy May. He's the MVP of this story. This guy is basically the source of gators in the sewers hysteria in New York, where like it enters the public mind. Sure, there was the capture of the gators in 35 and 37, but those just go on to fill in the background lore for Teddy May's story.
Spotting the animals in the 1930s. May was a colorful figure who is still famous among sewer workers in New York. He was well known in his day as a raconteur and a spinner of yarn.
Famous among sewer workers in New York. That's the living legend right there. Maybe if I go to New York, I'll get famous among sewer workers for something too. That'd be wild. It'd be the Mario Brothers.
So it's not surprising that he'd be a central figure in the story of sewer gators. But while his experiences date from the 30s,
do we have vampires versus a gator army out here in the side chat? I want to know how that turns out. Oh yeah, let me just pull out my gator lasso for my gator wrangling fanny pack. Yeah, well, gator wranglers are a dying breed, as Purple points out. The tail is bent, just laying on the floor, so it is at least as tall as the guys are. Yeah, somewhere. Well, those were kids though. They weren't guys. They were children. Let's see here. Just getting caught up on the side chat. Yeah, everybody's about the gator wrangling though. I'm glad I'm not the only one who's into that. It's like, if you're gonna live in New York and you don't know how to wrangle an alligator, what are you even doing?
it was 1959 when they were published in a book titled The World Beneath the City, written by a Robert Daly. According to the book, May spoke about a colony of gators who were comfortably living underground. He refused to believe reports from his inspectors that they were being menaced by gators. I says to myself, he recalled in the book, them guys been drinking in there. May was sure that the stories were false, and he refused to approve any reports mentioning gators. He also sent men to watch the inspectors to see how they were getting alcohol on the job. When no booze appeared, he decided...
It's kind of weird to see how they getting alcohol on the job. They're going down into the sewers. They got like their toolbox or whatever. You take your bottle, you put it in your toolbox, you close your toolbox up, and you take it down to the sewer. Easy peasy.
Decided to take a look at the claims himself. I'll go down there and prove to you guys that there ain't no alligators in my sewers, May said. However, when he personally looked into it, he changed his mind. He said that he saw gators that were mostly 2 foot long. They were found in the smaller pipes that emptied into the trunk lines below major streets. Mays reportedly started a program to get rid of them. Many were killed by rat poison, others were shooed into pipes where quick-flowing water carried them out to the rivers, while some were shot.
Yeah.
The New York Times printed...
Super sad. But sounds like maybe somebody dumped a little farm they had of alligators just all at once. Maybe because they sound like they were all pretty close to the same size and maybe the same age. At the right size and age to be living off of rodents, though. So they were doing all right until the sewer workers came in to eradicate them. Did some of them escape and make it into a different part of the sewer system where they could hide out? Maybe. But they flushed most of them. And poisoned them and shot them. All for just being little cute baby gators that someone dumped. I imagine, again, it's my opinion, I don't think these are individual dumpings in this case. I think it's probably got to be, maybe a pet store owner that had overstock. It was like, what am I going to do with all these gators? I can't afford to keep feeding them, and just dumps them into the sewer, with the manhole and dumps them in, or dumps them into just sewer grate on the side of the road. It's not like a storm drain or something, and they work their ways down through the pipes. Yeah, lot of ways for this to have played out. But I don't think that they were all dumped individually.
Teddy May's obituary in 1960. In it, he was credited with having led a squad in clearing the sewers of gators that had survived and grown quite large. There's no way to know just how embellished his story was, but it's a good bet that it helped establish the notion of sewer gators.
Would you like some contemporary reports? Brooklyn, 2001. A UPS driver found that a large package was leaking. When workers opened it, they found a 5-foot gator thrashing around, its mouth and legs tied with duct tape. Queens, 2003.
So
a 3-foot gator was found by
that's pretty obvious that somebody was trying to illegally ship an alligator, right? I mean, there's no dispute on where that came from, or it was like never loose in New York either. It doesn't sound like it was always contained. So I don't know if that one counts for our sewer gators title. Right?
Dog walker in Alley Pond Park and was promptly named Alligator by park officials. Astoria, 2010. A 2-foot crocodile was rescued from under a car.
It was like an American
Manhattan,
crocodile.
2015.
Now it wouldn't have. That had to be an escaped pet too, because a crocodile wouldn't even be able to overwinter. I think a mild winter, an alligator in the right conditions could probably overwinter in New York. It's not that much different from depending on the climate. I guess back then it was probably colder too. But crocodiles, no way ever.
A 3-foot gator tried crossing the street during evening rush hour. And in 2019...
Yeah, how are you going to send a 5-foot alligator through the mail, Purple? I don't know. That's wild. It would be in a box of all things. Not a crate. A box.
3 gators were recovered by officials. They were given names. On Staten Island, Poland, a 5-year-old gator was brought to animal care after being found abandoned in a park. And Wally was discovered by a Parks Department worker. Meanwhile, in Brooklyn...
I love him. He's so cute. Look at his ducky little face and his little... his cute little beady eyes. There's like kawaii eyes. Like, give me food. Look at him. He's so cute.
Was recovered by police during a residential search warrant.
Oh.
So, no question there's gators in New York City. Whether or not they could survive, let alone thrive in the sewer system, it'd be natural for them to escape to the relative safety of the underground world.
And there are crocodilians and alligators that do live in caves. They can thrive in cave systems under the right conditions. This little guy's under the ice, so if you see this, like if you're somewhere, usually in the American South, and it's winter and you see this sticking out of the ice, don't try to rescue him. He's cool. Leave him alone.
So let's look at the conditions in the New York sewers and compare them to the attributes of Florida's
here we
gators. Go. It can't be easy to live in a sewer. Are gators tough enough? I've mentioned just how successful and resilient gators are, but let's look at that a bit more. Over the years, I've run across ones who display evidence of some sort of unfortunate violence. I want to show you a few to give you an idea of their remarkable constitution.
All right, wait. Trigger warning, because we are going to see some alligator injuries here. You've probably seen it before, because a lot of the ones that are kept, alligators and crocodiles that are kept in zoos, have injuries. So it's not like an uncommon sight, but I do want to just give a trigger warning for anybody who loves little critters. You're going to see some alligator injuries.
It's a gator with a damaged but healed jaw, seen on the St. Johns River. It appeared to be healthy. The damage could have been caused by a boat or another gator. Those are about the only dangers adults have. The second has an amputated forearm. It's at a gator farm, so I don't know if it was injured in the wild or while here, but another gator likely did it. While gators can live in close proximity to each other, they are territorial and only tolerate each other to a point. Near Gainesville,
there was one of the alligators at the St. Louis Zoo had a missing eye. Allegedly, as Laura says, back in the 70s, somebody threw a penny in there and knocked its eye out. Pretty awful.
Was number 3. It also has a missing arm, fully healed and causing few problems. Both of these amputations appear to have happened at the elbow. Imagine how you deal with losing your arm in a swamp. This fourth subject is sunning itself near Lakeland after getting out of the water. This time the forearm amputation looks quite recent as it's not healed, but the gator doesn't appear to be in any distress. Clearly things like this aren't a big deal.
At least it's starting to heal.
This next one is more dramatic, I'm afraid.
Eek.
It took me a bit of time to notice that it's missing a toe. Luckily, I got close enough to take a good look, and this was a very recent injury.
It's missing its
I realize
arm
it's
too.
difficult to tell if a gator is comfortable or not, but it got a toe chomped off. By the way, until I looked at the photos, I hadn't realized that I got the toe as well. That's pretty good evidence on how recent the injury was.
Eek.
Now this gator is missing part of its eyelid. It appears that the eye is fine, which makes sense because...
Hold on.
Now this gator is missing...
This digit right here with no claw, I'm wondering if that isn't one that healed back over too from like the tip being nipped off because there's no claw on it anymore. Just spitballing.
Part of its eyelid. It appears that the eye is fine, which makes sense because their eyes can get pushed into their head when the lids close. Number 7 is in a farm, and I don't fully understand the photo. It appears to have 2 of its teeth protruding through its skin inside the bottom jaw. If that's wrong, I can't explain.
Well, it looks like its bottom jaw is half missing. Like this is sticking way past that. I don't know though because the angle of the picture for sure what's going on here.
This final gator has a large gash on its lower jaw. It's been pierced through its scales and looks like it goes all the way into the mouth. These injuries are significant, but all the gators survived, most without any medical care whatsoever.
All the way through, and it's going to heal over.
This is a recent video.
I'm sure it does bother the gator, though. I think that's probably an exaggeration to say it didn't bother the gator. That would make it difficult to submerge. It would make it difficult to eat. So no, I don't think it's not bothered by it at all. I think it probably still causes some struggle, but hopefully it heals over and the gator manages to flourish. But yeah, injured alligators, we should probably take it seriously. All right, who's ready to head into the sewers, guys?
Oviedo, east of Orlando. It shows a 6-foot gator during a robotic inspection of a storm pipe.
Mm-hmm.
Recent studies show that the gator has a remarkable immune system. Unlike humans, they can fight fungi, viruses, and bacteria without having prior exposure to them.
That's what you're talking about there, about the healing, not getting infected purple. Yeah, caves do too, and says they're talking. Y'all are talking about how warm the sewers are, tsunami and purple. Yeah, they really are a whole other level of an ecosystem down below. In like cave systems, they have consistent temperatures that if warm water passes through them, they stay warm for a long time.
Their blood is remarkably resistant to bacterial infection. It's thought that this is an evolutionary adaptation to promote quick wound healing, as gators are often injured during battles. A 2008 study found the blood serum taken from gators killed 23 strains of bacteria, including MRSA. Gators can also survive high levels of radiation,
making him mad.
Live in unsanitary environments, eat rotten meat, and be exposed to dangerous amounts of heavy metals. They survived the catastrophic Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction event that caused the extinction of all non-avian dinosaurs and most other animals weighing more than 50 pounds or 22 kilograms. Crocodilians and sea turtles were some of the few survivors. Another remarkable gator characteristic is that they rarely develop cancer. How gators can live cancer-free up to 70 years while living in polluted habitats is not understood. So gators have a robust constitution which is able to survive most situations. But just how
This
bad
alligator's
are these
adorable. Look at him do his
The
little
New
high
York
walk.
Department of Environmental Protection manages the city's sewer system. 60% of its
Now this is in Orlando, so it's in Florida where you do expect to see alligators.
sewers mix wastewater with stormwater, all of which gets treated. However, 40% is in a different system that keeps wastewater and stormwater separate from each other. This wastewater also gets treated, but the stormwater is flushed into the rivers. This means that of 7,400 miles or 12,000 kilometers of sewer pipe, some 1,500 miles or 2,400 kilometers only handles stormwater. Sure, it's not clean since it collects oil, trash, fertilizers, etc. But
so does every other body of water. At this point, it's all polluted by humans. There's no waterways that don't have our oily, trashy, gunky, plastic-filled waste in it anymore.
Consider the alternative. Since
You know
gators
what?
have been
Not even your own bloodstream. Your bloodstream has microplastics in it. Probably this alligator's bloodstream does too.
tossed in the stormwater drains for decades, at least some of them would have entered the cleaner system and might have stood a better chance of survival. One question has to be, how can gators survive New York's brutal winters? Gators aren't native to New York because they can't handle extremely cold temperatures. However, gators range as
But could handle temperatures colder than any other crocodilian.
far north as the Carolinas, and while they're not fond of the cold, they can survive it. It's been shown that when the temperature drops below freezing and the lakes crust over with ice, gators will poke their snouts above the surface to survive the weather. When it comes to the New York sewers, remember it's a basic requirement that they don't freeze. The city buried its sewer pipes below the frost line, like everywhere else.
Boop! Gotta boop him. Yes, so yeah, that's what we were talking about just a moment ago. Below the frost line and then flowing with warm water from humans with water heaters.
The pipes are protected so that the water will always flow. Therefore, gators could potentially survive. But what about food? Would sewers provide enough food for gators? We know that rats...
Like under a laundromat or like a gym or someplace with a lot of hot flowing water would probably be ideal.
thrive in sewers, and New York City has an estimated 2 million of them, though not all of them live in the sewers. Still, everyone would agree that rats are a plentiful food source. Raccoons and opossums are also common visitors to the city sewers. Gators have a diet dominated by fish, but they're well known to have a highly opportunistic attitude towards what they eat. They're ambush predators with remarkably quick reflexes. While
they'd have to be like it'd be almost 100% rodents would be their diet, and maybe some, like I said, occasionally possums or raccoons, trash that people discard perhaps, but just for the most part, if they're living in the sewer, that they have access to.
Most often lie in wait for fish underwater. They'll also rest motionless near the shore to grab birds such as herons and egrets, or small mammals such as marsh rabbits, raccoons, opossums, cats, and dogs.
Man, they follow this guy the whole way, don't they?
The largest gators will catch and eat deer, pigs, bobcats, panthers, and black bears, even though these animals are not a significant part of their diet. Male gators have been seen eating parts of dead rival males. And then recently, their appetite has also been shown to include fruit.
That's a big old gator.
Such behavior has been witnessed, as well as documented from stomach contents.
So this is the thing, even obligate predators can consume some plant matter in order to acquire certain nutrients that their bodies demand. Yeah, there'd be pizza down there, Steph. You think so? What if the turtles eat it all? Yeah, this is munching on a melon, but I've seen snakes even consuming some fruit, because one snake or one alligator eating one piece of fruit and pulling those vitamins into its body gives those vitamins for like the next few generations. So even if no other alligator for the next 2 or 3 generations eats any fruit, it'll still have those nutrients that was absorbed by this one ancestor if she's laying eggs. Isn't that kind of neat? It's like, it's the same like with like how a deer or a cow will eat a baby bird. And not every generation does that, but just, randomly the one will just do it, and it gives them that calcium to pass and all the nutrients that they need from the meat to help nourish their offspring. Now, toucans are an animal that most people think of as fruit eating, right? Like that's their main diet, is they eat fruit. They have their big old toucan bill that they eat fruit with, and all that they're obligate frugivores. But when they get into their breeding season, they will gang up and kill other birds, including large parrots, so that they can eat them to use their calcium to make stronger eggshells. Isn't that wild? Yeah.
With them eating wild grapes, elderberries, and citrus directly from trees. Gators are just cold-blooded reptiles. Are they intelligent enough to survive in such a hostile environment? First of all, reptile intelligence has long been considered inferior to that of birds.
What's your problem? What's this guy right here's problem? Everybody else is like chill and just like, hey, we got an alligator, and he's like glaring at us like, what are you looking at?
But recent studies show that they have a profound understanding of their surroundings. Looking at this graphic, you can see that a gator's brain mass is much smaller than other intelligent animals, both in absolute terms and as a percentage of body mass. It's clear, though, that when it comes to brains, size doesn't really matter. Gators have adapted to a changing environment over millions of years, and they've done it without changing themselves all that much. We might look at humans for an analog. Like gators, humans have adapted to various environments.
I hear that tsunami. Biting into an apple. Ouch. You slice it up first.
They've done so using their intelligence. Plus, both are long-lived and develop intellectually as they age. For gators, there's a number of remarkable behaviors that prove this. They've been observed to collaboratively hunt in groups. By coordinating actions and taking on different roles, their efforts can result in a larger amount of food than if hunting individually.
It's more of a mobbing tactic, like what Komodo dragons do, than tactical group pack hunting.
gators use tools to help them hunt. For example, they're known to float motionless with a collection of sticks on their snouts. When birds like egrets and wood storks come to collect the potential nesting material, the gators grab them. They've also learned how to climb up and over chain link fences to get to the other side. Those fences are tools. Gators are some of the most active reptile mothers. A mother builds a nest that stays dry and generates heat through the natural composting process. She'll guard the nest for 2 months until the offspring chirp while they're in the eggs. That's the signal that they're ready to hatch, so she'll chirp back. Mothers will then uncover the eggs and help the ones that are having difficulty hatching. Once hatched, she'll carry the babies in her mouth to the water. She'll stay near the nesting sites in order to protect them from hungry raccoons.
They're so adorable. I love their little yellow stripes.
It's common for mom to act as a guard for 2 years. In addition, gators have developed a repertoire of sophisticated calls. The chirping is just...
I think it's till they visually lose those yellow spots, she'll still stand. She'll not attack them, and she'll stand up for them. I imagine the spots have... I just speculate that the spots have some sort of visual signaling to the mother that this is something this is one of your infants that you're supposed to protect.
1. Gators growl, shriek, roar, and hiss to communicate, and even produce
I have never heard a gator shriek. I'm here for it though. Let's hear what it sounds like.
Sound waves with a frequency below the limits of human hearing. When produced underwater, the resulting vibrations can be heard and felt over long distances. It's called bellowing.
Shimmering.
And it's one of the more remarkable
Watch
sights
its back.
and
It's
sounds
called shimmering
in
here.
nature. Check it out.
He's trying to attract a lady. It's like, look at this fountain I can make with my back.
Finally, gators understand patterns and use them to their advantage. It's particularly evident in training sessions such as these. Gators learn what to expect from a trainer and what to do to get a reward. While training involves food, gators, like dogs and dolphins, are willing to perform the behaviors when asked, even without a food reward. Understanding patterns helps in hunting as well as responding to a changing environment. There's just one other item I want to cover. That's the idea that sewer gators might have evolved by losing their skin pigment as a reaction to being in the dark. First of all, I haven't seen a report that a white gator was ever seen in New York, so this is likely fantasy, but such gators do exist in nature. They're exceedingly rare, but happily there are several in alligator farms.
They're popular in the pet trade too, back when they had these problems. The albino alligators were more expensive. I guess the less probable that they get flushed though.
There's 2 primary conditions that cover white gators. Leucism is a partial loss of pigmentation, while albinism is a complete lack of pigmentation. There's any number of conditions that make white gators, but they're born leucistic or albino. It's highly unlikely that living in near absolute darkness would turn gators white.
Are you talking about tuataras, Tsunami? From New Zealand, they're like lizards, but they're not actually not actually squamates. I think they're not actually squamates, but they're lepidosaurs.
Likely, though highly improbable possibility is that a couple
Sphinxodonts
white gators produced white offspring, which continued the trait in future generations.
To recap, the New York City sewer is a horrible place to live unless you're a rat. Rats do fine there, so gators might as well. Gators are resourceful, intelligent, opportunistic, tenacious, and like many reptiles, single-minded when it comes to survival. They modify their environment, including digging wallows, deep water holes that are dry season refuges, not only for themselves, but for fish, birds, and mammals. I'd suggest that if any large animal could survive in the sewers, it'd be Florida's gators. The biggest issue might be reproduction. While there's a possibility that escaped or abandoned gators could survive, whether they'd have offspring is another question. Mother gators build large mounds of vegetation in which they place their eggs, but that'd be nearly impossible in the sewers due to lack of plant material and the threat of quickly flowing water. Still, I think that the best evidence is that there's simply no credible first-hand reports of a population of sewer gators in the past 60 years. Thank you once again for watching another of my videos.
She'd have to crawl out of the sewers and like lay her eggs along the riverbanks or something. She wouldn't be able to just, oh, I'm gonna build it out of trash, because it's gotta decay and create the heat, right? It's got to be able to heat it up in order to help the eggs develop, and it controls which whether they have male or female offspring.
If you enjoyed it, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to learn more about Florida's tourism history.
Tom.
Stingray Tom's Florida, traveling through time around the Sunshine State.
I did. I enjoyed your video, Tom. Good video. I'm going to give you a thumbs up. And yeah, I'm going to subscribe, because that's how the Hive do when I like somebody's content. Sewer gators. Yeah, what do you guys think? I think I had a couple of just quick news reports here. Let's do it.
Buildings is the Secaucus duck pond, where something appears to be lurking deep in the water.
I noticed at the water's edge was about a 2.5 to 3 foot alligator. And at first I thought it was like a rubber thing, but he was sitting with his mouth open in the open position.
Well, apparently it wasn't rubbery, but scaly, much like this one pictured here. Department of Public Works Supervisor Gary Scambati says he spotted the creature 2 weeks ago, just a few days before the town's popular fishing derby.
But by the time I could get my phone to snap the picture, he just darted underwater on me.
So there's no doubt that it was an alligator?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
That 2-second glimpse led to a
How did you know it wasn't a crocodile? Are you trained to tell the difference?
2-day boat search by wildlife crews. But Mayor Michael Ganelli says nothing was found or caught.
With this kind of alligator, they say it could go underwater for quite some time. So if it goes underwater, they're never going to find it.
Now the question, how did it even get here?
I think somebody had a pet that got a little bit too big, and they looked for a place to dispose of them, and this is where they found.
We called the Department of Environmental Protection, which says that's likely the case. The agency gets a few reports like this across the state each year. But no matter the backstory, people are diving into the mystery. Are you looking for the gator?
Yes.
Aside from all the fun of gator chasing, the mayor's office is taking extra precaution. As you can see, officials have posted this sign here warning the community, and they put it up just days before the popular fishing derby on May 6th, and tell us they plan on keeping it out here throughout the summer.
When I did come out this morning and saw that sign over the alligator, I said, you gotta be kidding me.
For now, people want to gawk, but eventually town leaders hope to say later to the gator that's slinking through Secaucus. Rena
I
Roy,
want to see it.
2 News.
And the DPW workers.
All right. So that was a gator in the sewers. I think this one's too long. Here we go.
Surprising, but not the most shocking thing ever.
On
This
Sunday
is
morning,
Jersey.
a 4-foot reptile was pulled from Prospect Park Lake in Brooklyn, far from the warm
Brooklyn,
climate where
sorry.
these creatures usually thrive.
It didn't just, migrate here from New Orleans.
That's kind of scary to think that an alligator could just come up and snap someone or grab someone or.
Oh,
even a
sweetie,
little
I love
small
your
dog.
frames. Ooh, you think I look good with glittery frames like this? What do you guys think? I could pull these off, right? Maybe like a darker, like a purple, maybe?
A little taken aback and scared, especially with my 30-pound snack of a dog.
Unfortunately, the alligator was also in really bad shape, so was not really in a position to be hurting anybody. Someone had obviously gotten the alligator as a small animal, as a baby, and it doesn't take a genius to realize that someday these animals are going to grow up.
Katie Hansen is with Animal Care Centers of NYC,
Now,
where the reptile was.
Look how skinny this guy is. See? This is not a healthy reptile. Especially the tail. This narrow of a tail on an alligator is almost unheard of. That's where all their fat storage is. This guy is starving. I think they fleshed his stomach and found a boot. It's been a while since this story leaked out or
First taken
released.
for evaluation before being transferred to the Bronx Zoo for medical treatment and rehabilitation.
It's really crazy, but we have been seeing a lot of animals like guinea pigs and rabbits being dumped in New York City parks. We've always had a lot of turtles, thousands across the past 3 years.
I know there's been some animal dumps here when people can't handle their pets, and this is like a nice body of water, and they kind of just say like, be free.
Ooh, okay, yeah, I can drop that. I can give you a wrench. Sorry, Purple, I didn't even realize you didn't have one.
Abandon an animal.
These are sentient beings. They can't just be dumped on the street. They can't be abandoned. It's illegal as well as inhumane. And I would suggest that people contact ACC or call 311 and get some help.
Police are
I'll watch
investigating
your
the
Sesame
situation.
Street one.
Meanwhile, the Bronx Zoo told Fox 5 Monday evening the animal is currently still under evaluation. In Prospect Park, Brooklyn, Jennifer Williams, Fox 5 News.
Do you put guinea pigs are so sweet? Do you cook them in honey barbecue sauce or I always, because they're a traditional South American dish, so I figured that they serve them up spicy. But if they're good in with a sweet tang to them, yeah. Here we go. Let's let me see what. All right, it's only 24 seconds. Hopefully this doesn't get my channel yoinked. Purple. Sesame Street. So we'll see.
Oh, sorry. This is the capital letter A. Next to it is the small letter A. Many words begin with this letter. Alligator, for instance. An alligator is an American reptile, similar to the crocodile, but having a shorter and flatter head. They have also been known to be extremely dangerous.
Yeah, that was good stuff. Thank you for that. All right, so what do you all think? Cryptic Corner today. Sewer gators. Are they... Obviously, they're real. They've been a thing. But are they actually something that can breed in there, in those New York City sewers? We have some mixed feelings about it, I guess. I see some people who think that maybe they could. I'm not of the mind that they could survive more than a few years. I don't think that they could thrive enough to reach adulthood, as we saw that one that was pulled out of the water there was in poor condition, and I think most of them would probably end up in that condition sooner than later. All right, thank you so much for joining us for Cryptic Corner tonight. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time. All right. Now, live from the Hive crew, stick around. We got some Wild Woo from a Wild Woo factory coming up in just a minute, and then we have oh my gosh, what do we got here? We have what if giant bugs roam the earth for sci fails, but I don't know if it's gonna be a fail or not. We'll have to wait and see. But I will see you guys over in Creation Watch in just a couple minutes. Yeah, hang out. I'll be right back.
To all the folks that are in the audience that consider themselves gender dysphoria, cis, I don't know what all that means. I really don't know what all that means. I'm looking at society today, and it's like I'm watching an X-Men movie with people that, when you watch the X-Men movies or Marvel comics, it's like we have mutants living among us on planet Earth. And, some people don't like that, but that's a fact. We have people that live among us today on planet Earth that are happy to display themselves as if they were mutants from another planet. This is the planet Earth, where God created men, male, and women, female. I'm a proud Christian, conservative Republican. I'm not on the fence.
Senator Radler, what is your appraisal?
I think at best that he's a dangerously ruthless and insensitive political opportunist and demagogue.
And at worst?
He's read far too many comic books.
Hello, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to Creation Watch, where we are celebrating our very last episode of Creation Watch on Live from the Hive. Aww. No, it's good. This is good news because I've decided that Creation Watch, in order to keep it going, that I need to have co-hosts with me when I do Creation Watch to help me demolish these bad ideas, whether it's someone who knows a bit about physics crushing some flat Earth, or someone who knows a bit about history, crushing some Tartaria, or young Earth creationism, things like that. Biblical scholars, if I can get them on, we're gonna crack open some bad creation logic and explore it as a team. So this will be the last episode of Creation Watch on Live from the Hive. The good news is this weekend's a double feature of Creation Watch too, because it's also going to have our first episode of Live from the Hive with panel guest. Yeah, let me show you what I have set up for tomorrow, because this is happening tomorrow. Yep, I got Maya and Ryan coming on. It's tomorrow afternoon, and it's 2 p.m. My time, 3 p.m. Maya's time, and we are very excited to be diving into some more satanic panic Halloween nonsense. I just couldn't do it by myself anymore. I love having, when it comes to doing the Nutter Butters, as they're called, I love having people with me. When it comes to dunking on the bad science, though, I like to fly solo and pick what I want, and don't want to drag anybody else into it necessarily. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep Cryptic Corner. Hold on, let me pull back. We're going to keep Cryptic Corner. We're going to, I'll cut this part out of the video, I guess. But yeah, we're going to keep Cryptic Corner in its spot. Then we're going to move Sci-Fails into the Creation Watch spot. And then HiveSci will, as always, wrap up the final product. But for today, we are doing, we're just not doing HiveSci today. We're doing a Sci-Fail instead. That's okay, because we got plenty of HiveSci coming up for you soon enough. Don't you worry. There'll be plenty of science topics to break down come November. Anyhow, let's get back to our Creation Watch topics. So, for today, I thought I would explore unbroken ground. As always, I like to dabble into new channels and see what they offer as far as the finest of woo. So this is Cosmic Agency with Swaru de Era, Athena Swaru, Minerva Swaru, Sophia Swaru, Anika de Tirma, Dor Kil Il, and they all got like Marvel superhero uniforms on. Some of them look very young. Sophia particularly looks like she's not an adult. They have chats that they do. They got videos like mix of metaphysical chats as a playlist here, I guess. 37 minutes long. You got 11-minute metaphysical chat with Yazi Swaru about influencing timeline. Let's see which one's Yazi. Yazi's not even on here. You keep just making up these new Swarus. I can't keep up. Is anybody keeping up with all these Swarus? What? Historical lies. We might look at that too at some point. But this is the one we're looking at today. This is our golden ticket. Did dinosaurs exist? What does Tigatan Pleiadian team state? Do dinosaurs exist? Let's dive in. And no, it's not muted. There's just no sound yet. There you go. Sophia is Yazi. Okay. So wait a minute. Which one was Sophia, though? Okay, we got the dinosaur on the screen. That's great. Which one's Sophia? I want to know who I'm listening to. Sophia's the little one. It's this little bitty one that's going to be talking about dinosaurs. So this little child is going to teach us what dinosaurs are fake.
Between 2018-2019.
And what about dinosaurs, Swario?
Many species of dinosaurs, or that would rather fall under the description of dinosaur, did exist. But the ones that definitely did not exist are some famous and silly species, such as Brontosaurus, Tyrannosaurus, Triceratops, and so on, which are inventions of the 19th century.
Whoa, wait.
By the way,
What makes those ones silly, and which ones aren't silly? So some of them existed, but some of them didn't. And some of them are, and the ones that you just listed, the Brontosaurus. What'd you say? I don't want to misquote
the
you.
numbers are invention Tyrannosaurus, silly species, such as Brontosaurus, Tyrannosaurus, Triceratops, and so on.
Triceratops, and so on. So why are those ones made up and inventions of the 19th century? But it's just funny because Tyrannosaurus was discovered in the 20th century, not the 19th century, in 1909, I want to say. Unless you want to count the Megaspondylus find, but that wasn't recognized as a Tyrannosaurus until much later. So they still didn't know it was a Tyrannosaurus in the 19th century. And the Brontosaurus wasn't a thing until 2015. There was the Brontosaurus that was the part of the find was considered to be synonymous with Apatosaurus. And then in 2015, a reevaluation of the Brontosaurus holotype did reveal that it would be counting as a new species of short and chunky diplodocid. So it is a very unique member of the Diplodocus clade, and because they're usually really long and skinny, have super long necks, but the Brontosaurus was especially short and chunky for a Diplodocid, and it's probably the shortest and chunkiest. I think it's the shortest and chunkiest, but
of the 19th century. By the way, the numbers called Roman are not of Roman origin. They are Etruscan, but the Romans have taken them as their own.
What are we talking about? This is supposed to be about dinosaurs.
And all those skeletons.
The skeletons are not complete. They are fakes. The ones they have in the museums are plaster. They pass them off as real.
They do not pass them off as real. Most people with any level of I don't want to be too insulting, with any level of common sense is going to know that and there are exceptions to this, but in general, you cannot build a reconstruction with the actual fossils because of the stone that they're because they're not actually bone. That's not bones that you're looking at. And they will have the real fossils, but because the actual bones are so heavy and do not lend themselves well to building a reconstruction. Sometimes they'll have the reconstruction in front of you where you can see it, and then they'll have glass cases in the front with actual pieces of the whole dinosaur that you can see. Like, oh, this is the mandible of the Tyrannosaurus, and the Tyrannosaurus is up here. Now, there are exceptions, especially back in when they first started trying to do these reconstructions, which was started by... what's his name? Dude who reconstructed the Moa. Owens, Sir Richard Owens. With him making that Moa, reconstruction of that Moa, that was it. And then it's like, we rebuilt all these dinosaurs, all these extinct creatures. So then everybody started wanting to do it. But we did learn pretty early on that you weren't going to actually be able to rebuild them with the bones themselves. You were going to have to cast the bones and then reconstruct them with a lighter material that lends itself more to building a skeleton, freestanding skeletal structure than stone. Plaster's a good option. I don't, I've seen different museum models where they will actually fill in the parts that they don't have with a different color, so what's actually known from the fossil record and what is interpreted from the shape of the and the anatomy of the animal, as we can infer from its relatives and from what we have of its remains, and we can rebuild that. Not all fossils, not all, I guess I should say, skeletons, not all individuals are complete, right? There's mostly they're not. Mostly, having over 30% of a fossil of an organism is like super rare and exciting, because if it's a bilateral organism like you and me, it means that if you have 30% of it, potentially you have 60% of it, right? As long, depending on what parts overlap, but you can have upwards of that altogether if you just have half of it. All right, let's get going here.
Or say they are replicas. The real ones are so incomplete that it is impossible to assemble an animal with them. So they complete them using their imagination.
No, they complete them using math. They just measure the pieces and make the cast of how they think that, looking at how these pieces go together and taking the measurements and doing the calculations, where these pieces go. Each individual piece, like of a crushed skull, they could have, like you're talking about the reconstruction, they could have a skull that's completely shattered to fractals. And they can, using their micrometers and their lasers and everything, they can sort out the shape and alignment of each piece of bone to put it back together. People do that now with real organisms and real things. They that have been crushed. They can put them back together. It's crazy, but they can. I can't. I'm just don't get that. Maybe I do. I don't know. I've never actually tried, but that precision touch.
And an entire story has been built around them since the 19th century. Many skeletons are assembled or completed with bones from other animals, such as cows or even cat bones in some cases.
Where are they using cow bones in a dinosaur reconstruction? I don't believe you now. I think you're just making stuff up. Cat bones? What cat is big enough to... I mean, I'm assuming that you think all dinosaurs are big, because the only ones that you have talked about so far are the giant ones. But what bones of a cat could they possibly use?
And the Tyrannosaurus skull pieces are not from that species. They are Alpha draconian, among other species.
Ooh, Alpha draconian.
Doubts, or some doubts.
Alpha draconian, y'all. You heard it here first. What is a tyrannosaur? Alpha draconian.
About the latter, because they are too small to be Alpha draconian. But some experts here assure that they are. And what do they care that we believe in dinosaurs?
Dr. Tapioca Weasel dropping those memberships like they're hot. Love you, babe. Appreciate you. Look who's getting them, too. We got John Hudson, got one. And we got Ring and Aunt Jur, Brian Stevens, and Mark Reed all got a membership, y'all. That's awesome sauce. Let's see. The dinosaur bones was found at the end of the well-worn path that led up to the site where Jesus was crucified. He was as faithful steed until the end. Okay. Yeah. I'm with you on that. Jesus dinosaur steed.
Because it is now a story built around the naturalist boom of the mid-19th century. And for honor reasons, they can't back down now and accept that...
Wait a second. That's another dinosaur that's not from the 19th century. Spinosaurus is from the 20th century. There are lots of dinosaurs from the 19th century that you could show. Lots of them. A lot of famous ones too, but Spinosaurus isn't among them, right? Spinosaurus isn't, and neither is T-Rex.
Famous dinosaurs are fake. I accept that a Tyrannosaurus skull has similarities with some Alpha-Dracos subspecies, such as the Alpha Naga, of which I have not yet spoken. But both the teeth and the skull are not big enough.
The T-Rex is not big enough. Its skull is not big enough to be the Alpha Draconis. What skull are you looking for? I can't think of any predator with a bigger skull than a Tyrannosaur. I mean, obviously terrestrial predator. You get into the water, we can talk. We can talk about some real sea dragons. We can talk about that massive skull of Leviathan. Not the biblical Leviathan, but the actual prehistoric whale that is named after the biblical Leviathan, and then Melvini, which is named after Herman Melville, who wrote Moby Dick, because it's a megaphyster, which is the sperm whale family, which Moby Dick was. Yeah. How did I get on Moby Dick? I was talking about big predator skulls. Yeah, I think that other than the sea animals, definitely the biggest skull that I can think of is strapped to the Tyrannosaurus. So whatever these Alpha Draconis are, they're not known from any fossil record that we have.
And what are those useless little arms for? The animal makes no sense from a practical point of view. And the skeleton cannot support the weight of such a living animal. And the dinosaurs...
Wait, but you just talked about an animal that was much bigger than this. You said, yeah, this is too small for the Draconis. But yet, you're proposing something that this big is too big to work mechanically. And that's wrong. We have lots of models about how and in what ways Tyrannosaurus locomotion was possible. Not only that, we've got specs on it and stuff that we've run lots of models. I know that that Mark Reed doesn't say that a model failing is falsification, but I think it is. That's a good way to falsify a model. We got to talk about that again sometime. Now that I'm feeling feistier, Mark. Last time I was kind of in a frumpy, dumpy state. So, but I will re-engage with you about the aspects of science that way soon, my friend, because it would be a hoot and a half. But the Tyrannosaurus's arms that people always like to point out and talk about are not, again, and you all know this now from just watching me over and over and over again say this, the Tyrannosaurus arms are actually not as weak and useless as people tend to present them as. They're bigger than a human's arms, and they're stronger than any primate arm. They served multiple purposes, from helping the organism get up and down from a laying position to facial grooming and obviously copulation. If that's all the purpose they served for was copulation, even, that would be worth it. That'd be like the vestige legs on a whale. Now, if Tyrannosaurs were absolutely the floofiest, you may not be able to even see their arms very much, but they'd still be there performing their functions. You just wouldn't notice them.
Were there? What were they like? And where have they gone? We would have to look at each species to see which ones are and which ones are not real. Yes, I have the precise data. They become extinct.
So we're getting into David Icke territory here, because I've pulled up Alpha Draconis or looked it up, and it's the Thuban. Alpha Draconis or Draconis is a binary star system in the northern constellation of Draco, a relatively inconspicuous star in the night sky of the northern hemisphere. It is historically significant as having been the North Pole star for the 4th and 2nd millennia BC. So it was been the pole star before. Okay, and then we get into conspiracy theories. According to British conspiracy theorist David Icke, Alpha Draconis is the origins of blood-drinking, shape-shifting reptilians who lurk in underground bases in Earth and plot against humanity against humidity. They should like humidity if they're reptiles. With the aid of powerful figures, including royalty. So that's the reptilian theory, right? But there's this lady is advising that no, these guys are huge. They're bigger than a tyrannosaur. Their skulls are bigger than a tyrannosaur. So I'm super lost on how this is related, because other people are saying that the Alpha Draconians are like human sized and the shapeshifters. Oh, you taking off, D? All right. Was John taking off? Okay. All right. Have a good one, John.
In a place when it no longer suits them as a species, but they continue in other planets, as happens with all the others. Athena's Varus' recent comment, February 2023. Everything is false there. Everything. It's just incredible. Now it's coming out that fossils are artificially made, and since the 19th century. They even...
So this is like almost like to the level of the devil hid them there to trick us. To what cause and purpose, my dear, do we benefit from faking dinosaur fossils? Please elaborate.
Past the scrutiny of scientists and geologists. They do it with chemicals, and at the same time subjecting the bone to very high pressures, as with a press. So Sunday roast chicken bones would pass for being from the Jurassic very seriously. On Earth,
they microwaved them to trick the scientists. That turns them to stone. Chicken bones turn to stone if you put them in the microwave. You heard it here first, people. I was not aware of that because fossils are stone. They're made of stone. They're mineral. I keep saying stone, but yeah, mineral is a better way to describe them. They're the organic matter is gone. There's nothing organic left. But they're not the same material that they were when they were alive. Sorry.
Their fossilization methods are already coming to light.
Mm-hmm.
Conversation with ex-contactees. Interviewers' names changed to Gosha. May 2021. What do you know about dinosaurs? Some existed, some did not. The first big famous ones discovered in the 19th century, sadly for children, didn't exist. I am talking about Triceratops, Brontosaurus, Tyrannosaurus, Megalosaurus, and the
Tyrannosaurus was not from the 19th century.
like. What I can say is that here they are not considered real. It is not seen as possible. Yes, there are big animals like that on other planets, but not exactly like that. And those other planets have a lower gravity than Earth, like 0.6 or 0.7 G.
There's giant reptilian monsters on other planets, but they have lower gravity. I like how they're like real science, like we say real science. They're like the science is wrong. The science is fake. These animals didn't actually exist. They're made up. But yeah, there's giant reptiles on other planets, of course. on other star systems. And this is coming from, this 12-year-old said she channeled it from some saurian aliens.
What made scientists believe that there existed giant reptiles? I remember that they only found pieces of some of them.
It really
like
is purple.
Tyrannosaurus Rex. And then the Royal Society of London started to reconstruct them with bones of cows, horses, dogs, and cats because they saw...
Wait. Dogs, horses. This is a monstrosity right here. Look at this. A Triceratops skull on a stegosaur body. That's like bizarre. However, what is she even talking about? Cows? And does she think that this is what the fossils look like when they're found? Like they're laying on the surface like cow skeletons in the desert in an old cartoon? They're like you dig them up and they're not generally they're not like three-dimensional and stuff. Usually they're smashed down into a two-dimensional space. A good exception to that is Triceratops skulls, which do tend to be heavy and robust enough to preserve just as they are. Ceratopsian skulls are sort of like that, pretty hardcore. But what kind of bones, because they're talking about cows and stuff, what kind of animal, I keep trying to scroll down to see the center of this Triceratops skull, what kind of animal would they use to make this skull, I wonder? Because I can't think of anything with a skull big enough to make a ceratopsin, let alone like a Triceratops or a Torosaurus that are monstrous.
No economic interests in that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I know is that objectively, an animal of that size in a gravity of a terrestrial G would have to have much larger bones and another bone structure, another design, because it's...
Dinosaurs don't have big enough bones? What are you talking about? Dinosaurs have massive bones. Biggest bones that we know from, again, terrestrial animals are from dinosaurs.
Viscera would be too heavy to stay inside its thoracic cavity. In itself, the total weight...
Steph says, these nutters think constellations named after mythical creatures prove that the creatures actually exist and I live there. The star configuration that gave them the name only visible from Earth. No, listen, Steph. So we are from the Milky Way galaxy. And we are the only intelligent life in the galaxy with titties to make milk. Is that a coincidence? Are you saying that happened by happenstance, that we got these titties? I just like showing off my titties.
Would destroy the bones, as officially shown. So for that reason alone,
I do like these
dinosaur
models, though.
Concept is not right. The design is not compatible with life.
Yes, it is. You just don't understand how physics work and how anatomy works and how biology works. That's okay. But trust the people doing the experiments on the physiological capabilities of these organisms, and you'll see that they were indeed quite capable of locomotion.
Another point, from my perspective, as I have told you many times, animals, species, are shared among many planets, among those that have a capacity to sustain life of that kind, according to the species and its needs. Because they don't evolve on the planet. They are seeded.
It gets you everywhere, and I just dropped three viewers when I did that. Not getting me too far, is it?
Planets. And there are no dinosaurs like those famous ones on any other planet, when there should be.
It's like I went to all these planets, or I've explored all these planets, and they don't have dinosaurs, and they shut if they're real. What? Trying to follow that logic train, team? Yeah. What's with that, Hive?
So, Would that whole historical period be false? There was no Jurassic? The problem is time again. If it is already difficult to calculate something from 15,000 years ago, it is unrealistic to try to date things from more than 65 million years ago.
Was that supposed to be a sarcastic voice? 65 million years ago. So there are different methods for dating different time periods of varying quality and accuracy, and they all interlace together to give us a tapestry of the time frames of the history of Earth. There are pockets and periods of Earth's histories Earth's history that we don't have. We have before and after, and we have to fill in the gaps of what happened in between. But we know the time frames, and there's some stuff that we know what happened here during this time period. We don't know what happened here. We know what happened over here during this time period. We don't know what happened down here. It depends on what's preserved, what we have available to collect data from. That, and again, there's various types of dating that we can apply depending on what's been found. Yeah.
They use carbon-14, but it's practically useless because it gives wrong dates all the time.
They never use. Please show me anybody using carbon-14 to date a dinosaur bone. Show me. I don't believe you. Carbon-14 is not used to date anything past. You get past like you get into the 40,000 years. It starts the window starts to get really, really wide, like thousands of years wide. So it starts to lose its viability about between 40 and 50,000 years. And that, again, that depends on the conditions of the preservation, right? Whether the carbon-14 is available. But there's other isotopes that we can use besides carbon-14 to calculate this type of information. So she's wrong on that.
And drastically wrong. So it's garbage of a system. It uses the decay rate of the radioactive compound
It's not just carbon.
Carbon-14, which is said to be stable and takes billions of years as a constant.
No, 50,000. 50,000 max. You're confused. There's other isotopes that we can use to measure different time periods, but carbon-14 is just for more recent stuff. It's the most recent. Carbon-14 can't be used to date things that are old. For cougars beyond 40K years old, it's not even a bad pickup line, let alone a dating method. Oh boy.
It measures the decay of carbon-14 in organic compounds specifically, being that living or recent ones have carbon-14 at 100 and decay from there. The problem is that there are other things and other radioactive compounds that alter these readings. So the age of a living...
And you don't think that the people examining these labs samples from these different periods are accounting for other compounds, both organic and inorganic, and their influence on the, whether it's carbon-14 or what are some other ones? Radium argon. Is that? Yeah, I think that's one. There are quite a few different isotope methods, but they account for the other compounds that are present at the dig site, right?
Mollusk has been calculated in millions of years, which cannot be. And something of millions of years has been calculated as recent.
There
That's
you go.
why it's garbage.
Potassium argon. I misspoke. Radium argon. Potassium argon. Yeah, gives you a little bit more time frame, a larger time frame, but it also has a larger error bar. So yeah, it all balances out. There's different ones that overlap, and we're able to cross-reference with other dating methods, including everything from plate tectonic to genomic divergence. So yeah, it's these things again all interlaced in this huge tapestry.
It is also calculated by other method, which is by the soil stratum. That is, how far down is something buried under layers and layers of soil that in theory accumulates over time.
In theory, so you don't understand what soil is then? Because it's not just in theory, it's in like applied ecology. Soil accumulates. Soil is matter. Matter, and there are minerals in soil, but not so much as there is organic matter from organic matter from organisms, from dead animals, animal waste, animal molts and sheds, and all this. It's plant decaying, plant matter. All that stuff makes up the soil, right? And then there's organic organisms in it as well. The fun thing about soil, though, is like dinosaurs and whales and all these big organisms fossilize, and they fossilize a record of this huge animal that lived in this region. Soil fossilizes too, and it tells us other stuff about the area and what it was like during the time, from what kind of plants and insects lived there, it tells us the climate, the precipitation, all this stuff. And these are fossil layers of soil, of basically an ecology preserved in time, that given the proper treatment and inspection can tell us a lot about where the big giant bones that we're finding, what kind of world that they lived in.
The problem with this is that the Earth is not fixed, receiving soil on top of it for millions of years. It moves, it turns, there is erosion, it rains, and there are floods and landslides. Although
pushing all that material that we just talked about, all that soil, the organic material mixed with loose minerals, pushing it all around in the... What do you think soil is? Yeah, it moves it. It pushes it downriver, downhill. That's why mountains are rocky and then valleys are filled with dirt and soil that grow stuff good. And that's why that is. Gravity. All the forces that you're just talking about move all that soil down. Moves the big fossils down too, because the dead things, when the water catches them, they go down that hill too. But also all those paleosols that are deposited, they're in there as well.
Effectively, I find it a little more reliable than carbon-14.
Because carbon-14 is
and
not the isotope you should be looking at.
So the problem of calculating time, which is not a constant, as you know. More so before the...
True, because of the theory of relativity.
Lunar matrix. So everything together makes it impossible to calculate the period with accuracy, as the Jurassic would be where the big dinosaurs lived. So yes.
Well, the Cretaceous was really the dinosaurs' heyday. They ramped up. They never stopped going up until the extinction, and they dropped off completely. So the Jurassic wasn't their heyday. The Cretaceous was.
I can say that some did.
Ooh, hold on. We got some facts and knowledge coming from Dr. Tapioca Weasel. There was radium-226, actinium-227 method for nuclear forensics just found. Yeah. Look at that. All kinds of dating methods.
But most likely, and by pure skeletal structure logic data, they could not have existed. And there is a motive to create them, invent them. It is a matter of reputations and monetary interests in 19th century London.
Monetary interest. Yeah, big paleo, right?
Now, about modern dinosaurs
Again, not 19th century Tyrannosaurus.
found, many new species of dinosaurs are being discovered in China. But it turns out that, coincidentally, they are being found on the extensive land owned by a Chinese company dedicated to making dinosaur bone replicas for museums and collectors.
Oh boy,
All part
it's all a
of the
conspiracy.
Chinese Communist Party.
Just
too many things don't.
Did you know that dinosaurs were part of the Chinese Communist conspiracy? I just found that out today.
Add up for them to have been real animals. But of course, other species did
Staying hydrated,
exist,
guys.
but more medium-sized ones like elephant at the most, or smaller ones like velociraptor, perhaps, since it is related to modern birds of prey like the eagle. But in itself,
So they accept
Tyrann-
evolution between. I'm just trying to figure out where these people are. Honestly, are they're sort of between denying evolution happened and saying that it did because raptors are related to eagles. So I'm like, where you at, guys?
Tyrannosaurus, Brontosaurus, Triceratops, Stegosaurus, Allosaurus, Gigantosaurus. I doubt very much that they were real.
Well, I mean, there were big sauropods in the Jurassic, but the biggest sauropods are from the Cretaceous. The biggest of all dinosaurs are from the Cretaceous. The Cretaceous was an awesome time period to be a dinosaur.
In addition, the original bones can never be seen, let alone studied by paleontologists.
You can
All
literally
those
go
of
on a
the
dig.
system.
You can literally go on a dig and help. All you gotta do is sign up. And you can go out into the field and I'll give you a brush, show you how to do it, and you can help dig up a dinosaur. Real thing.
And the club, because they are very, very controlled as well. That in itself also raises serious suspicions.
I think your suspicion should be to your telepathic draconian aliens that are sending you stories in your brain. I think that's probably what we should be suspicious about.
So, what would be in the Jurassic, Cretaceous, first appearance of mammals? All this would be unsubstantiated, assembled data, right?
Well, I mean, mammals are more complicated than that. We had there was a lot of theory and stuff going on in the early Triassic, so we're not sure exactly when what can be considered a mammal first appeared exactly. We don't have that individual specimen. We have a lot of little mouse-sized creatures that lived during the early Triassic that are therian or some type of therian that is close to or resembles mammals. But we stayed that way and had a lot of time to hone in on these warm-blooded power-ups that we were able to get from living at night.
At least with the foundations within the reach of human science, without forgetting that what they say will always be according to the interests of.
Oh yeah, there were mammals up to the size of like a black bear during the time of dinosaurs. There was at least one animal that got that big and was thought to have. It didn't live like a black bear, I don't think. It was built more like a badger, and was very primitive. I can't remember the name of it. Now I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm going to.
Controllers and the companies they own. Regarding the appearance of mammals, we would have to go into the evolution of species. Non-human.
Here we go. It was oh, it's bright. Yuck. Okay, I fixed it. Can I look at the pictures though? Oh well, we'll just pull it over. So, this was the largest Mesozoic mammals. They look kind of like, they kind of remind me of Tasmanian devils. But they were pretty big. Yeah, they're called, they are Giganticus. Pretty neat looking creatures. Yeah, how do you say this? Ropinomamus giganticus, the biggest mammal of the Mesozoic. Pretty sweet, huh?
Science does not accept Darwinian evolution as a scientific fact. In itself,
wait, who doesn't?
Non-human science does not accept Darwinian evolution as a scientific fact.
Non-human scientists don't accept Darwinian evolutionists. So this is basically my dad bigger than your dad. Because, oh yeah, your Earth scientists think that evolution is real. Well, my interstellar psychic scientists, reptilian, draconians, don't think it's real. Who's smarter? Your little monkey scientist on a little ball, or interstellar reptiles that have been around for millions of years? You do the math. I do want a 2-ton sloth back, though. Yeah, there was an age of proto-mammals, synapsids. They used to call them proto-mammals. Yeah. The early synapsids, gorgonopsids, were huge. They got to the size of, like, big bears. Like, they got the size of polar bears, right? And there were, Dimetrodon was earlier on in the Permian, but they had a sail on their back to absorb heat. Later on, this feature was lost in Therians, which is where we get down to our ancestors coming into their own, managing to squeak through the Permian Great Dying at the end, and give us some hope that mammals may once again rise to the top. We had to wait a long time, though.
In itself, as the name indicates, Darwin's theory of the evolution of species, it is a theory. But in
it's just a theory, guys.
Itself, in universities, students are forced to accept it as an irrefutable fact under penalty of expulsion from the system, and therefore the end of their careers.
You don't know what a theory is. Sorry. And no, you don't have to force to accept it. You're shown the data and the evidence, and it's just there. That's true.
What non-human
Welcome back,
science indicates, and not only Taigetan science, is that there is no evolution of species.
Where does Wiener go?
On Earth, there are only two ways to explain the existence of animals. One, evolution, as stated by Darwin. Two, divine...
Well, there'd be other evolution. What about Lamarck? What about evolution as stated by Lamarck? That's an option, too.
Creationism. For advanced interstellar civilizations, it is neither of those two things. Species are seeded on the planets, some as creations of other advanced races.
We were seeded here by the Pleiadians.
Other times, simply to encourage diversity in the stellar garden, moving species from one place to another as...
We're just one little flower bed in the stellar garden, guys. One little flower bed.
It is deemed appropriate, and as they can be developed by interstellar species using spacecraft. Applying here also the concept that at least most of the natural existing species have always existed as direct manifestation of the creative consciousness of the whole, of the ether, of the original source, being in themselves not even creations, but expressions of the source, being that they are the source.
Boop.
But the human mind cannot handle the concept of eternity.
Why not? I actually like the concept of eternity. I think it's sweet. I think it gives us some reverberation.
Or of has always existed. Nor that something never had a beginning and never will have an end. Species as a manifestation of an idea, of an identity.
Manifest species as an idea. Like, hey, look at those horses. I bet they look good with some stripes. And then you zap them with your Jesus powers.
The direct reflection.
Or sorry, this isn't Jesus powers. This is reptilian powers.
Or expression of a concept that the source holds as a material expression of an idea. That idea is a soul. So it expresses itself in the material as that particular animal.
What's the evidence of these souls that you claim to exist? Where can they be found in nature? How can we examine them and show that they exist? I want to see some evidence for them. You're sitting here dismissing all the stuff that we do have evidence for as not being true. But you have this, we're going to call it a theory, I'm going to call it a hypothesis of the soul. Show me evidence for your hypothesis, please.
But in itself, without complicating it further, it is not a material expression, as in that there is the spiritual expressing itself materially, but it is the same. The animal is the idea of identity that the source holds to try to explain itself, to have a point of attention apart from itself, to try to observe itself.
So you're talking about sentience, I guess. So you think souls are, sentient equals soul?
And it tries to observe itself to be, to think, to exist as consciousness.
I think, therefore I am.
It is a long explanation, but in itself short for something so complex.
Yeah, you're oversimplifying it.
Darwin or creationism is an example of pure human reductionism. It is true that many things or angles within the theory of evolution are valid, such as the natural selection of the fittest. But it can only select the fittest individuals within the species and thus purify the genes of the group. But it can never
sounds like eugenics.
Create a species from a different one. So no, the human does not come from the monkey. The monkey is one thing, and the human is another.
What's the difference? Linnaeus couldn't figure it out. Darwin couldn't figure it out. Lamarck couldn't figure it out. What's the difference that separates us? What are the characteristics of all monkeys that apes don't have, or that especially specifically that humans don't have? Of all monkeys, what is the feature? Please tell me in the comments below. We're about finished up here.
A Neanderthal is not an evolved human. It was another species of being of humanomorphic appearance. So
humanomorphic.
Homo habilis, Homo erectus, and all the others.
What about the hybrids? If they were their own thing, then how can we hybridize with them?
Use mutations to explain a modification of a species by trying to adapt to a new environment or ecosystem does not result in anything. It only ends up as theory.
I thought we were talking about dinosaurs. Okay.
One only sees that individuals that are outside their ecosystem tend to die, and that's it. Not grow scales or gills just because they live in a swamp. It is said
that's not how evolution works. It doesn't just... Somebody's explained evolution to you poorly, so it sounds silly. So it doesn't just... It's not the grow scales and gills. That's not... that's not the directions that evolution would take, or the types of changes that would be expected.
Little by little. It also doesn't square because it would take too much time, more than can be considered useful, because the conditions of the ecosystem
What you consider useful as a human does not matter.
could be a stimulus for the mutation would change faster by several times factors than the mutation itself.
Yep, only the mutations that could take hold would be the ones that mattered.
And it is also known that spontaneous mutations come from DNA damage, and almost never for positive purposes or outcomes for individuals. So, a species is already perfect in itself.
So there's species like coyotes and wolves that can interbreed. So how are they perfect? If they're perfect in themselves, why not keep them separate?
If it does not adapt to an ecosystem, it is because it is not its ecosystem. It is simply not what it was designed for.
Nothing was designed.
Thank
they
you
evolved.
very much. Super interesting. And what do you think about them saying that they were destroyed by a meteorite? Fear agenda? Meteorites hit all the time. But in itself, it's rare one of that size of extinction level. I see it as forcibly possible. If they did exist, then I would be more inclined to believe that they disappeared due to a change in the ecosystem in general over time. The Earth transforms the same way anyway. There is evidence of meteorite impacts, for example in the sea between Yucatan, Mexico and Cuba, which is where the meteorite that extinguished the dinosaurs is said to have fallen. And yes, there is a fear agenda component there, of course.
Fear agenda? What do you guys think? Is it a fear agenda? Are we being duped by the man to believe Big Paleo? To think that dinosaurs exist? Like Cosmic Agency is warning us here with their weird little girl thing that they got going on. Is this weird to anybody else? Is this in their thumbnails? I feel like look at that. These are children. I mean, am I wrong? They look like children. Down here you get into, there's more adult people. Like that's an adult, same woman. I think that's the same woman again. So there is an adult involved in this lady. But does she actually have these people, or is she having like voice things over a model picture? Animals that move in circles. We busted that wide open a long time ago. The circling creatures. Got some angel hair. We've talked about that on the show quite a bit. More like veganism. Look at these. That's a child. I don't see the children like actually on camera in any of the videos though. It's just like the voice thing. So I wonder if the children don't actually are not just AI voices with images. That'd be one way to get past the algorithm. And these are supposed to be like the indigo children and stuff like that. These kids that are connected to other wavelengths and crap. It's weird how they put them in like Marvel superhero uniforms though. Like trying to make them look like they're fighting crime, fighting terrorism or intergalactic threats. I guess they are trying to play off that they're facing intergalactic threats though. Was told to read their about section. So let's go in here and read this. I am Gozia Dusak I am from Poland, and I have spent the last 23 years exploring the world in search of what is beyond our physical reality. In 2017, I started an adventure together with Robert beginning a direct contact with a Titan Swaruinian race of Pleiadian crew aboard the Tolika ship in Earth's orbit. Since then, we have been sharing our conversations and the stellar knowledge they share with us. Oh my, and they got Patreon and PayPal, and they got a website too. You want to check that out? Let's go out. Let's go see what they got going on. Oh man, you guys must not like this channel though, because I cleared out my chat when I went and started watching this. It's like, nope, I can't deal. Yeah, this is their. It just has the same stuff on it. It's like I guess probably their backup for all their videos and stuff if they get yoinked. But they're still at it, because I mean these most recent videos, 2 days ago this came out. So the thing about this that's the most disturbing to me is this: 94,300 or 94, yeah, 90, sorry, not 94,000, yeah, 94.3 thousand people are subscribed to this channel to listen to these people spin nonsense about alien interference. Yeah, it's so weird, and I can't even keep 20 people engaged about why it's nonsense. That's the way of it, though. That's the freaking algorithm for you. It turns everything towards what's the most entertaining, not what's the most true. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us for Creation Watch, and this was a bit of a weird one for me. I'd never quite know what to make of these people. Sometimes it almost feels like they're doing an ARG or something, but they're making claims out there and people are listening to them. So I gotta engage. I gotta say, hey, nope, nope. So that's what I do. All right. So please remember to be kind, take care, and we'll see you next time. All right, live from the Hive, peeps, the ones that are left, all 14 or so of you that I still have sticking around. Thank you for hanging out. We are going to be bouncing right over to our last segment, which is a little bit of sci-fails. So I will see you guys over there. Hello, hello, my beauties and bees. Welcome once again to another installment of Sci Fails, where we take some of these top 10 and what if and deadliest and most dangerous and the one you're glad's extinct. All these crazy animal videos and science and nature videos that make claims about organisms that just get a little. I love Brittany. Stop. I love Brittany so much. But today, we are going to be looking at a what if video. And this is what if giant bugs roam the earth. I've watched a few of these videos. It's from What If is the channel. 7.68 million subscribers. 361 comments. 3.7k thumbs up. So they're going to tell us about giant bugs by showing us giant spiders that live today. So let's find out where we're going with this. Let's find out what's going on. All right, so this is what if giant bugs roamed the earth.
Call the army. Heck, call your mom, because the end is here. Giant bugs are now roaming the earth. If these behemoths existed, would humanity become bug food? How could a bird save your life? And why would Grandma's jewelry come in handy? This is What If, and here's what would happen if giant bugs roamed the earth. We don't have to watch old monster movies to wonder what it would look like if giant insects ran the planet. Just step into the What If time machine and look at our past.
We're going to go to the Carboniferous?
Over 300 million years ago, these monsters were everywhere. Yeah, the mega...
And they would have been pretty harmless to all. There's no arthropod, no terrestrial arthropod that would be like a physical contender against a human, generally speaking. None of them are big enough to like take down a human with, just using their sheer size and strength.
Nura, an early dragonfly relative, had a wingspan of over...
So, Logan, I am in love with the bug pit from King Kong. It's like my favorite thing ever in fiction. I hate that it was stripped, but I love that it became like lost lore, and then now it's available. That's why I put it like in my intro today. I don't know if you saw it. There was actually the original bug pit scene where they used like real scorpion claws and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Over 60 centimeters. So, why don't we see these buzzing behemoths today? These days, atmospheric oxygen hovers around 21%, but during prehistoric times, oxygen levels could reach almost 35%. If the levels rose that high now, you would need masks and suits to avoid oxygen poisoning. But during these oxygen...
But you could, just for the record though, you could take it off for just a couple of breaths and get really high. And then put it back on, put the mask back on. You could do that in the Carboniferous. So, it would be good for your brain, but you could do it. Like one of those, well, I shouldn't say it would be good for your brain. It might be like one of those oxygen bars that they used to have.
Insects competed with birds for resources. The faster and more agile birds won out over the insects and...
Wait. So... It was that oxygen shift, right? That made it wasn't. They got outcompeted by birds, and birds didn't come. Flying birds didn't come around for a while yet, till the Jurassic, or flying archosaurs, I guess I should say, that would later become birds or bird ancestors, if you will. But we're talking before the Permian extinction event when these giant insects lived, before the Permian even, because it's talking about the Carboniferous, and there was like a rainforest collapse that fixed the oxygen level. It never got back up to that level again. So they weren't, it's not that they couldn't compete with birds, it's that they could no longer attain those sizes because of the lack of oxygen. This was also a really flammable time period, just throwing that out there. Really flammable.
Learned to eat them. Eventually, insects began to shrink to the size we know today, but if they were suddenly huge...
Well, they didn't shrink. The ones that did passed on their genetics were the small ones, because the big ones couldn't survive in the low oxygen levels.
Would you have to become nocturnal? With instantly elevated oxygen levels, bugs wouldn't be the only ones getting a growth spurt. Trees could grow up to 30 meters, and even your everyday ferns could be massive. And crawling around on the forest floor, giant millipedes, almost 2...
So, I mean, are we talking like if you brought the Carboniferous organisms to present day with the plants and stuff? Or are you talking about like if they evolved to live with us now and they were still giant? There's some different speculation that could happen here, right? Because you could, I mean, bring in you're talking about trees and ferns and things like that. Now that's going to have an ecological impact beyond just. I mean, it would the a sudden appearance of Carboniferous aged forest across the globe would be a impact with or without giant insects. But the giant insects aren't going to be the major problem. It's going to be the marshy forest, and there wouldn't be trees per se, and not what we consider trees. There wouldn't be angiosperms because there weren't angiosperms. And as far as the non-angiosperm lycopods and things like that, there was the vascular strength, like what we see as wood in modern trees, wasn't really a common feature. There was organisms with it that like palms that had tree-like characteristics too. So yeah. Anyway,
2 meters long. Yeah, these things would be everywhere, eating decaying matter and plants. Nothing to worry about, right? Ha, come on, this is What If. You know better than that. Those dragonflies we saw earlier would be back, and...
Well, so the millipede, the Barthopleura, is not going to be a danger to anybody, like in any capacity. Maybe it secreted poison if you tried to harass it, but it's not developed to ward off larger predators because it was basically the largest thing in its environment, and it was heavily armored. So that's what it depended on. It didn't need to be venomous. It didn't need to be rearing up on its hind legs, It's rearing up like a cobra, or like a real centipede does. Now, centipedes, potentially, there was a centipede that I tried to find more information on that was allegedly like a meter long, but I can't find any evidence for it beyond what's on a Creationist website. So press X to doubt. Do I have that set up? I do. Woot woot. Yeah, there we go. All right.
In a big way. Dragonflies today are deadly predators with great vision. They bite into their prey's head and fly it back to a nice secluded spot where they devour everything. Only now, humans would be on their menu.
I don't think so. They probably even Meganeura-sized dragonflies wouldn't anticipate them targeting anything bigger than a like a bird or a rodent, they'd be like a hawk. So it's like you wouldn't say that, or a crow. They're often compared in size to a crow. You wouldn't say that humans are on the menu for crows. Because there are hawks.
Their only chance to strike down this winged menace would be in their early developmental stage, before their tough exoskeletons are fully formed. Getting them first while they're still learning to fly.
I think they'd probably be worse, more of a threat to humans in their larval form, like living in your pool. Could you imagine like a toad size, one of those guys grabbing hold of your ankle and giving you a quick nip? It wouldn't be pleasant.
May seem like fighting dirty, but this world won't cut you any slack. And you might just have a meal for
that was Caveman with Ringo Starr. Yeah.
Later. Just remember to aim for the eyes. But what if you needed something stronger to take down these creatures? The average insect's exoskeleton consists of wax, protein strands, and other elements layered together to protect them from their daily dangers.
Not even a mention of chitin, the main substantive structure, or structural substance. The main structural substance of a exoskeleton is chitin.
Even their muscle attachments between their limbs, made from a biopolymer material called chitin, are 6 times stronger than human tendons.
Look at those mites on his face, man. Living in as I say often on this channel, the arthropod microcosm is cutthroat AF. Like, it cannot be outdone. It is literally the most brutal environment. Could you imagine how parasites that are that big compared to your head on your face? These would be like, that'd be like if I had like lipstick tube sized parasites just hanging off my face. And there was nothing I could do about it to get them off. I mean, homeboys got claws and stuff, but obviously they can't claw them off.
Yeah, getting through an exoskeleton with conventional weapons wouldn't be easy.
What is that supposed to be?
A diamond-tipped bullet or drill bit might be strong enough to pierce this outer shell. Maybe you could strap a diamond to a spear. Scientists have even been working on creating hexagonal diamonds, stronger than anything available now.
They're going to suggest diamond bullets for giant insects.
These lumbering threats around, they better speed up the process. Now, depleting oxygen levels stopped these bugs before, so could it stop them again?
Weaponized climate change.
Maybe over time, if humans keep burning fossil fuels and dumping carbon dioxide into the air, we might see these bugs shrink in size over decades, but that might not be fast enough. So how do they fight back?
So how do they get that big in the first place? Now you're talking about evolving and changing. I thought this was we evolved together. So did they suddenly appear in our timeline with their high oxygen levels and giant fern trees and stuff?
Sometimes the best way to stop a predator
I think you could probably get through the exoskeleton with at least of most giant insects with regular bullets. I don't think you need diamond bullets. With a regular spear, I don't think you need a diamond spear. Probably with a good baseball bat for pretty much every one of them. A good baseball bat would probably be a sufficient weapon against it. Because most arthropods, when you crack their exoskeleton, they're done. Whether they have more fight left in them is up to debate, but generally they're going to leak out all their hemolymph and just be done. They won't be able, when you crack a spider open, it can't sustain it because spiders, it's hydrostatic, right? So they pump that hydrolyph fluid through their body, and when you rupture that, it's like puncturing anything that's hydraulic. All the pieces just fall limp because there's no more liquid, no more pressurized liquid to push into different valve chambers.
is with another predator. You might want to breed large birds to protect you, since they eat dragonflies and other insects.
Not usually, Purple. Usually they cannot, they don't have the ability to claw. They're so short-lived that it's not been an evolutionary benefit to them to need to heal. It's just better. It's more beneficial to the ecology that if they get damaged, that they die. They're able to sustain reproductive numbers with that feature about them. Now, individual species and species specific and all that, perhaps there are ones that can survive or can heal to some extent. But if the secret is with being a spider person, the secret is to if they can molt, if they can make it to their next molt, they'll heal, because they can't heal their existing exoskeleton, but they can molt out and produce a new one that is not damaged. So if they can survive without leaking out all their hemolymph, if they can survive that, then they will be more likely to survive further exploitation of their anatomy. It's like you see sometimes people have spiders and they'll have their legs all ripped off, right? Or multiple numbers of their legs ripped off, and people can actually nurse them back to health until they molt out and grow new appendages. Some kids used to do that in school when I was little. They used to pull legs off spiders. Pin it down with like a pencil or a piece of paper and chop its legs off. It was cruel.
And that age-old battle between insects and birds would start again. But
were they feeding chickens Scolopendra? Did I just see that right?
Since they eat dragonflies and other insects. And that age-old battle between insects and birds would start again.
Those are.
But leave the parakeet at home. You'd need a hawk or a trained eagle to fight these giant bugs. Although even these predators wouldn't be immune from attacks.
Now, whether modern birds of prey would interact favorably or not with Meganeura, if it existed today, is really not going to come into play as much as the fact that Meganeura is going to target birds. I think birds would be a definitive target for them. They would target anything flying around like that. They're mostly aerial hunters. So in that vein, they're very similar to like peregrine falcon, right? But peregrine falcons do the dive thing, whereas Meganeura are just fast off the bat. I mean, they'd be like a dragonfly, like able to zoom pretty quickly from here to there.
Maybe you wouldn't have to worry about an oversized daddy longlegs spider, but the Goliath bird eater?
Okay, that was daddy longlegs that's a harvestman. It's not a spider. This is a spider, but popping back, this is not a spider. This is a harvestman, an opilion. They're omnivores, as you can see. It's enjoying a apple core. They don't bite. They are fairly harmless to humans. They don't really have the equipment to hurt a person. Even at a large size, they'd be relatively harmless. It still probably eats the same things. They may be able to, again, be opportunistic predators on small organisms, or eggs might be a target for them. Animals that lay eggs might be in trouble, because these guys do tend to live in colonies. But as far as humans go, I don't think we'd be in any kind of trouble.
Oversized daddy longlegs spider, but the Goliath bird eater? Well, that's a different story. When they were normal size, your pet bird would be in danger. I mean, it's in the name. So if you
Well,
got caught...
they aren't actually efficient at eating birds. And the spiders we have today, because they keep rehashing back to ancient organisms, but the biggest spiders that I'm aware of, and anybody ever, feel free to correct me, are alive today. We have currently the biggest spiders in existence exist right now.
In this beefed up version's web, it could be fatal. Normally, their venom wouldn't necessarily kill you, but getting a giant-sized dose of venom in your blood could end your life before you even knew what happened.
You'd be done. Again, a giant spider, too, would be something you could pierce and probably put it out of commission like that, just with one piercing sting. And as you can see from watching a wasp interact with them, with tarantulas, you would have a definitive speed advantage. Now, if something like a giant huntsman, with that kind of speed, you'd be a little bit screwed. You'd be the mouse.
Ugh, that's grim. And even that fate is better than if you met a wasp in this world. Yeah, giant wasps might be able to paralyze you with one sting. And unfortunately, it's not done with you yet.
Oh boy,
No,
here we
this
go.
insect would take...
I love this. This idea would be horrid. I was actually, oh my gosh, I was arguing with people on Twitter about this the other day. It was hilarious. It was so good. We were talking about parasitic insectoids from Resident Evil 3, the spider that lives on the ceiling. And somebody kept calling it porn. Insisted it was porn. It was crazy. Actually, let me see if I can pull up that thread real quick. Yeah, it was pretty hilarious. I'm always getting up to shenanigans on Twitter. It's sort of my outlet from time to time. Looks like I'm arguing with TERFs most of the time here lately. Looking back through my post. Not gonna lie. Yeah. Spend the majority of my time. Here we go. Yeah, here's the thread. Okay. So, and they said I couldn't show this. These people said I wouldn't be able to show this on YouTube or anything too, so that's kind of funny. So it went like this. They went out of their way to strip all the sexuality from Jill just to make her Glizzy a monster about sticking its reproductive ovipositor in her mouth and putting its eggs into her stomach. Yeah. And they're like, what the F is, what the fuck, I don't know why I edited myself for like 3 hours into the stream. What the fuck were they thinking with this scene? The game needed at least one redeeming feature. The writer's poorly disguised fetish. So, like, to be fair, that was pretty hot. Supposed to being a troll. Not exactly the point. I think it's the fact they went above and beyond to make Jill look strong and independent. Yet here they gave her a moment of a mutated gangbang for very little, if not any reason other than to fetishize. So having an organism that reproduces this way is not a fetish. It's just part of ecology. Next, he says, because it's supposed to be terrifying that you're suddenly infected by a rapidly developing mutant that is going to game end you in a primal visceral fear. The weirder thing is the lack of body horror is in a body horror game, and they accuse her of being trans and thinking that it's in it being a fetish. And I bring up Geiger, and that this was a method of reproduction that's found in nature. Goes on for quite a bit. I start showing spiders because they're saying that this is rape. So this is where it gets weird and goes off the rail. I said, this is not rape. Stop being weird. If that insect is forcefully penetrating another, that's rape. Look, just stop replying. This is Jerry. You're horrendously wrong, and I'm vicariously embarrassed for you. Let me see, where does this go? There was one more where showing him the spider. Yeah, forcefully penetrating. Can you believe that? Yeah. Unprepared means that here we go. Is that what I was looking for? No. Okay. Yeah, unprepared means the victim doesn't give consent, therefore it's rape. So this is like talking about that the spider predation is rape. That like when she lays her eggs inside the spider, parasitoid wasp are allegedly just, it's committing rape. That's classified as sexual. It's also extremely telling that you all had to go to insects in order to justify your fetish. You really have nothing else to give for your... because there's not actually an organism big enough to do this to human, my dude. Not big enough organisms to use this reproductive strategy using human body. The idea of all these horror concepts is what if. It's not a fetish, it's what if. It's horror. It's supposed to terrify you. Anyway, back to the movie. We're almost done here. It's only an 8-minute video.
Take you back to their nest where you would be eaten alive by their larvae. So, how would you stop these attacks? Well, since wasps have poor vision at night, your best bet would be to strike after the sun went down, destroying their nest in a sneak attack. Humans would have to adapt to the dark to deal with the new threats.
All right. If you put a glue trap down and you kill one of the wasps and put it on the glue trap, the other wasp will come to the glue trap to try to save it. And they will all get stuck. That's how you can defeat them without having to use any kind of weapon or anything. Well, only for the first one. If you can get the first one actually, if the first one's alive, that's even better. If you get it trapped alive. There's videos on it if you want to see how it's done, but it's a common method used by beekeepers to make sure wasps don't get their bees.
To our existence. But don't destroy the larvae just yet. This payback is gonna be sweet. Or, well, maybe savory. When the world panicked at the sight of murder hornets, some people in Japan were laughing as they pan-fried their grubs. Yeah, these giant larvae could be preserved in jars or even steamed with rice. A wasp...
Yum! Would you try them? Would you guys try them, Hive?
Shish kebab could be tasty. I mean, if they don't skewer you first. This world would create a never-ending battle between humans and insects. And victory would go to whoever's hungriest. Even with these giant bugs roaming the earth, we would still have the brains and brawn to fight back. But now, what if these oxygen levels had the same effect on humans? Yeah, what if you grew to be 5 meters tall? Well, stick around, beanpoles, because that's a story for another What If.
All right, so that was What If. I actually did enjoy doing this one. Pretty fun. I know I went on a Twitter tangent there for a minute. Hope you all were able to tolerate that just for me to get through it. But this has been another episode of Sci-Fails. And we looked at what if there were giant insects today. And I don't know if I agreed with much that they said, but I hope it was a fun ride for you guys. Please remember to be kind. Take care. And we will see you next time. All right. Thank you so much, Hive, for sticking around. I still got about a dozen of y'all kicking it in the side chat. So I know it's been a long one. It got extended because of the golden crocodile thing. I added that in at the beginning there, and it added another additional 25 minutes, which put our 3 hours at 3 hours and 25 minutes. So I guess long, but not out of spec because of the additional segment. I hope you all enjoyed that segment. If you're just now tuning in, you should roll back and watch that. The first segment of the show before Cryptic Corner, we did a surprise segment at the beginning about the Golden Crocodile Award. Go check that out, and then go to Potholer 54's channel, and give the whole video a like and a watch, and tell them the Hive sent you. All right. Please remember to be kind. Take care, and we will see you. Well, we'll see you tomorrow for Creation Watch with Ryan and Maya. Yay! All right. Bye-bye.